Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half step Marcus J is live. We in the building. Ready to have an outstanding show. Very happy and excited that you are with us. It's going to be big, man. The theme of tonight's show is going to be, what does protecting the Black woman look like? Just in the last few days, we've had two examples that some would say are examples of protecting the Black woman. We've had Chris Rock, Will Smith, and Jada Pinkett situation. And we had Senator Cory Booker and Supreme Court hopeful Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson in this situation last week. And so we're going to get into those things. John and Steph and I are happy and excited that you're here with us. You are watching and participating in the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. The phone lines are open wherever you are watching. You just need to look into that spot and it'll give you the phone number. We got a lot to get into tonight. Enough for the tease. The flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio is called Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, and it's live right now.
Yeah.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is
Ain't no half step on Marcus J is live. We are in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be a part of the flagship show, heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everybody rocking with us today. We appreciate those folks in social media checking us out, those folks on Facebook Live, those folks on YouTube Live, those folks who are watching and viewing and listening in the future in our archive. It's because y'all rock with us. We roll with y'all. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial if you want to be a part of this. It's big tonight, y'all. Everybody, many of us don't watch the Oscars. I don't watch the Oscars, but the Oscars was on Crib last night, and so I paid attention to it. And we all saw what we saw. So obviously we're going to talk about Will and Jada and Chris tonight. We're going to talk about cancel culture and when it's time and when it's not. We're also going to talk about grace and what does that mean and who deserves it. We're already getting a lot of love in social media. And so for those folks that are already checked in, I'm going to go ahead and give you the love that you absolutely deserve because y'all rock with us and we roll with y'all. Greensboro, North Carolina is checking in. My cousin Selwyn is checking in. He is saying that he is checking in, fam. My cousin Gina is checking in. Much love to her. Appreciate you, cuz, for checking in. The brother Kev Crossley is checking in. He's saying good evening to all. Thank you for all of the support of HBCU eTours Incorporated, and thank you to him. And early on, we getting a hit from both of the sisters, Big Sis and Little Sis, and so we're gonna give it to them together. Starting with Big Sis, we're gonna be together with this, right? Y'all ready? We're gonna do this. We're gonna say peace to both of them at the same time. Y'all ready? You ready? Looking at the camera, and we say, "Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Lithrell." Yeah, peace to y'all. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. So thank y'all to everybody. And also, we getting more love in Jersey City. Another one of Big Cousins is checking in. My brother and cousin Charles is checking in. So what up, Mike? Appreciate you, bro. Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so let's get our salutations in. Let's go around the room and get everybody appropriately introduced before we get to tonight's discussion. You see this man sit across me. That's him right there. Y'all can see him. I can see him. He is my brother, John. Hello, John. How are you, sir? I am outstanding. It's good to see you, man. Nice hat. All right. Little something. Did you have a good weekend?
My weekend escaped me.
Yeah?
Because Wednesday and Thursday, I ran up to New York.
Yeah?
You know, I had a little bit of frat business up there. Came right back down.
Little square biz?
Yeah, a little square biz.
Yeah.
Me and Tina had it.
Y'all so old.
Yeah. So mote it be. Yeah.
I had to come back down, and I hadn't really recovered as far as, you know, because I left 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning, and I was back 5 o'clock on Thursday morning.
Oh,
so
okay.
I haven't really got my own internal clock back together.
Okay.
So the weekend I was kind of in the house, and then, you know, I had different things, personal things and stuff going on. So I was just on my phone a lot. So I haven't really got back in the groove yet. And then, you know.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
here we are.
You know what happened.
Yeah.
Sunday's part of the weekend.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
You know what happened.
I do. Ain't no half step Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. Y'all can see her. She's our sister. She's mine. She's John's. She's your sister. She's my right hand and the co-host of Ain't no half step Marcus J. We're gonna work on getting your mic straight.
Right?
My sister and
What's
yours
going
is
on?
Steph B. What up, sister? How you doing? With your bow on, looking good, looking like you looking and looking.
Y'all always know when
stuff.
I need a little love.
I know. As soon as you hit the door, I was like, she needs a little love. That's what I do. That's what brothers do for their sisters.
It's been a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what?
What's
always
that?
forward.
I love it when you say that.
Yeah,
I always tell you.
It's what can I do? I can't go back and change anything.
Yeah.
Right. So I gotta look forward.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing.
I can dig
you know, the Oscars a little bit clear.
Yeah.
Cleared things up where I was like, Well, you know, I'm not on TV smacking people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
could be worse.
Talk about smelling salts, right?
Right.
And you know how
right,
Steph
right.
Marcus J. All right, so real quick, I'll go through my weekend since
Is
this is
that
what we
right
do. We
there.
always do the weekend thing. I had a good weekend. It's funny because Saturday and Sunday I contrasted the communities that I'm a part of. I'll say real quick. On Saturday, I went to a 420 event and I looked around and it was all over me and all around me and it was wonderful. It was great. And
You
you
can
look
invite me
around,
next time.
you look around and everybody looked like us, right? It was a wonderful event. But then there was yesterday, there was Saturday, and Sunday. And the normal yoga class that I do on Sunday mornings wasn't available. So I had to go to a different location.
Oh no.
And the different location where I was, let's just say it like this. I learned yesterday that yoga is not a fly by night thing for me. It is so real. It is so a part of who I am for the rest of my life. Where I was yesterday and who was there with me, I was literally the only person in the room who fits my demographic.
Not surprised by
It's
that.
not surprising, but the energy in the room was good. It just was very different. And it's not the space that I'm used to or the space that I want to be in. However, I needed a class. I wanted a class. And so I have decided that if I need a class or want a class, I would subject myself to go through where I was. It wasn't
That's
a
when
bad
you know
thing.
you
Wasn't a
really
bad thing. I don't want to
committed.
make it seem like it was, but it certainly wasn't what I'm used to.
Right.
And that's what, like you just said, I was like, yeah, this is real. This is real, you know. And so it was a revelation for me. So I was glad
Look at you.
to do that. And of
Our little
course,
yogi.
my yogi. And then of course, I had to go to the river and sit out there and do service out there. So, but I'm a creature of habit. It just is what it is. So, and you know how Steppin Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so let me see.
Mic isn't on. I don't know which one.
Yeah, the mic is on. You good? I can hear you. You good?
Okay.
Yeah, you good. Let's
Is
see.
Chef's on? I only see two.
We good. We good. And you know how Steppin Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, let's see. Much love to my brother, cousin Marcus J, Legacy Internet Radio family. Proud of you guys and blessed to be a part of history you're making. That's cousin Gina saying that. So much love to you, cuz. Appreciate you. And Sue is fussing at me because I didn't let her know about the 420 event.
Exactly, Sue.
Yeah, that was an event that I didn't realize that I was going to until I was on my way there. But the next time they have it, I promise you, I will be tapping on some shoulders and bringing along the crew. Let's see, Kevin Harris is checking in. He says sometimes you got to be uncomfortable to get results. And brother, I needed to hear that.
Okay,
Thank you.
now.
Thank you.
I needed to hear that.
I needed to hear that. And you know, for what it's worth, Kevin has an outstanding following in social media, and folks rock with him all the time. And he has those questions that he asks that are somewhat controversial, but he gets folks to open up. And it's real dope. I haven't really had an opportunity to say that to you, brother, but I see you, and hopefully you know the greatness that is you. Keep doing what you're doing because you're necessary. People rock with you. And then lastly, but not least, the last salutation before we get to the balance of the show is my sister and cousin. We call her sister cousin Terry is checking in right now.
Hey, Terry.
And she's saying peace to the family as well. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, y'all ready to get to the show? Get ready to get to the show.
I'm gonna go ahead and get comfortable.
You ready to get to the show? Because you know, we normally don't rush our way through salutations, but you know, tonight it's a lot to get to, and you know, people are here right now because they want to talk about what happened last night. And so, you know, there's more to the show that we're gonna get to. We got 2 hours and some change to get to it all. We're gonna just get right to it. Let's just get right to the point. All right, so here's the setup. You know, Chris Rock comes out. He's getting ready to introduce the Grammy that my man Questlove ends up winning.
Oscar.
Excuse me, the Grammy. I said the Grammy, the Oscar. Thank you, John. That our man Questlove ended up winning, and
that
unfortunately, ain't nobody talking about Questlove.
I know.
Oh, and that was a wonderful documentary.
Deal.
You know,
phenomenal documentary.
A great documentary about
Lots
an
of
event.
History.
Yeah, you know, but it got overshadowed because Chris Rock told a joke. The joke that he told was directed at Jada Pinkett Smith. He made a joke about her. He said that she'd be great in G.I. Jane 2. For those folks who didn't get it, because at the time I didn't get it, but Demi Moore wore a shaved head in the original G.I. Jane movie, and the fact that we've seen Jada the last few months or however long it's been with a shaved head, the joke that Chris told did not go over very well. We happened to see Jada's face while her husband Will Smith was sitting next to her, and he had a hearty laugh, just like everybody else in the room,
Well, you had
because
to-
at the end
had
of the
to
day,
describe it as a hearty
it was
laugh.
a hearty laugh because the joke was funny. But the problem with the joke was it was a very personal joke because Jada is struggling with alopecia, and for those who don't know what that is, it's it's a affliction. I don't know if we should say disease. I don't know the correct terminology.
Autoimmune disease.
Autoimmune disease that causes hair loss, and it is a very uncomfortable thing. And for our sisters, where we know that hair is a big deal, for someone to struggle with that is a problem. We had folks come on this show, Aint has Steppin with Marcus J on Legacy and that radio years ago when we were in the original den, and we did several shows on alopecia. And folks who have alopecia came through and shared their personal stories with us, and it's a challenge for those folks who are dealing with it. And so anyway, when he tells the joke, the camera pans to Jada, who looks very, very unmoved by any humor here, while you see Will with a big grin and a hearty laugh. And then the camera pans back to Chris. And when it pans back to Chris, you can see him continuing in the joke, but then you see his eyes get big. And then the camera comes back out. You see Will Smith walking towards him. Doesn't appear that any words are exchanged. Will reaches back and he puts his arm on the absolute other side of his body, and he winds up, and I think I heard him. He go, "Hey, okay." He hit him in the face. It was like Street Fighter. Slapped him.
That's if you ever heard the term haul off and
smack him.
That's what haul off is. In case you never know,
haul off
and slaps. Yeah, that he hauled off.
He hauled off and slapped him. And a lot of us, I'm a fan of pro wrestling. I thought that was kayfabe. I really did. I thought that it was a work, using wrestling terms. I thought it was staged. And then I realized that it was a shoot. Shoot means it was real. It wasn't real, and we all realized it was real because Will is sitting there. Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Said it loud twice, 2 times. And then we realized what it was. So we can jump right here. We got it set up enough. We'll get to the aftermath, but initial reactions, John. You got the con. You up first. What's your thoughts on the initial reaction? Actually, I got a comment here.
Good.
Let me read this comment, then you got it. Selwyn says total disrespect between both parties. This day and time, you don't disrespect with the condition, then you shouldn't disrespect another person by slapping them in the face. So what you got, John?
I'm going to say a couple of things. First thing, to our listeners, some of y'all not familiar with alopecia, go back to Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett said the most horrible thing to a dude playing ball one time. Behind him, I forgot the guy's name, but he had alopecia. He couldn't, or something like it. He couldn't grow hair anywhere on his body at all. And Kevin Garnett said the most heinous, but he said the most heinous thing to this dude playing ball because Kevin Garnett was that kind of guy. That comment wasn't anything like it. I don't even know if Chris Rock was fully aware. He may have been remotely aware. Like if somebody pulled him and said, "Hey, man, you heard that, Jada guy." He might have been, I heard something about that, but he wasn't fully aware. The joke wasn't written. It was off the cuff. He was time filling in his read, right? Which is maybe the cards got messed up. He was time filling in the read. And in fairness to Will, he was laughing more at the previous joke than the second joke. That laugh was in continuation. And then his laugh went down, and then he looked over at Jada, and she was actually a little bit teary. She sucked the teeth, her eyes watered, and he went up to do his thing. The other thing about that, I don't know, in the wrestling thing, because you just reminded me of something, there's a very classic wrestling match where a shoot took place, and it was Booker T and your boy Stone Cold.
Oh, wow.
right? So Booker T accidentally.
It was Hulk Hogan.
It was Hulk Hogan.
No, this is Booker T and Stone Cold. I remember it.
Okay.
He accidentally caught Stone Cold with a right hand to the face.
Oh, you talking about something different than what I'm
Cold,
thinking. You talking about the
Stone Cold
supermarket? The supermarket.
came back and jacked him right in the jaw in the ring, and his face reminded me completely of Chris Rock because he didn't realize that he had actually caught Stone Cold. So Stone Cold came back and clocked him in the jaw, and his face looked just like Chris Rock's face. I knew when I saw Chris Rock stagger. He staggered twice from the same punch, from the same slap, that I knew it was real at that moment. Because he shuffled back on his foot, his leg got weak, and then he tried to gather himself, and the other leg got weak before he gathered himself. So I knew it was real. And had it been staged, the slap would have sounded a lot more slappy. They gave it some sound effect. No, because when they do the in wrestling, they do the
stomp.
The stomp.
Yeah.
They stomp
Yeah.
and they sometimes clap their
On
hands.
the other side.
Yep.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
They either clap their hands or they hit themselves.
Old
on
WWF fans
Yep.
over here.
right?
Yep.
So
He's right.
Yeah.
so
yeah.
when I heard the sound of it and saw his reaction, I knew it was real. But I say all of that to get into this situation. I want to say this to my ladies, right? Long time ago, I was working at a studio in New York called Calliope Studios, kind of famous. And we were constructing new rooms. And I had on a button, and the button said, "Respect and protect the Black woman." And a lady who was an executive, very high up in the music industry, she came over to me. She says, "That's a nice button, but shouldn't it say respect and protect all women?" And I said, "No, because all women are not my concern. Only Black women am I concerned with. I mean, white women have white men that could be concerned about them. So I'm concerned about Black women." I lost a lot of work behind that, but I stood by it. I shouldn't have said it. In retrospect, I was young and arrogant, and I shouldn't have said it in that setting, but it was what I felt, and I felt offended that she would even comment on my button. I want to be clear to my women, and I reserve the right to be wrong about this. But before you start talking about, yeah, Will, go ahead, I need my man to do that. The same energy that allows a person to walk up on someone unprovoked, because that wasn't a provoke. It was an insult, but it wasn't provoke. Provoke is you push me, you hit me, or you threaten me physically. That's a provoke. To walk up on somebody unprovoked, and his posture walking up was like, it wasn't, he didn't walk up like I'm gonna hit you. He walked up kind of unassuming, and then he hit him. That energy belongs to the same person that beats his woman. Right? The person who can commit an act of violence in that way. That's that same kind of energy. Because I've been alive a long time. I've been around. I've been in bad, stressful situations. I've been in all kind of fights and shootouts and all kind of stuff. I got the wounds to prove it.
You a hell of a thug there, John.
Now, I'm not a thug, but I've been in
Tough
some
guy.
thuggish situations. But I'm gonna tell you what I've never done. I've never went out and hit someone without being provoked. I've never just walked up to somebody and hit them. And I've had people say some outlandish things to me. I've had them say outlandish things to. We're gonna get that.
Yeah, we're gonna
Get that, and I'll get back to my thought.
All right, caller, you on the live line. Caller, what's your name? What's your comment?
Hey man, this comedian Tim, man. What's up, my guy? How you feeling, man?
We
How y'all
good,
doing
man. It's
today?
good to hear your voice. I saw you in there commenting. I'm glad you calling us. What's your comment as a comic? I would love to hear your perspective.
Man, I know I heard you mention earlier about the alopecia show we did, man. I was a part of that. That was like a great show. That was for my niece, you know what I'm saying? That's going after alopecia as well. So once again, I appreciate you for having us on that. From a comedian perspective, man, it was job disrespectful, you know what I'm saying? He issued apologies on the Oscars saying it was disrespectful. But for Will Smith to do that, man, that's very disrespectful as well. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that he picked and choose who he can take his anger out on. I know a lot of people saying, Chris, they should have did August Alsina, like whatever the guy name is. He should have did him the same way. Nah. Chris Rock, that's his job. He get paid to do a job, to be a comedian. He knew he was out of line, you know what I'm saying, when he said it. So when he got hit, it was more of, damn, what I do next? But you got to understand, so Chris Rock been doing this for years. Will Smith got built up anger. You can see it in his eyes when he accepted the award and started to cry. He been burning up for a while. So as a comedian, we always got to watch our back. You know, when we say stuff, we can say what we want to say. You know what I'm saying? Do what we do, but we understand our audience is there. We got to respect the audience as well. He failed to do that. I don't know if his PR people told him that she had alopecia. He didn't know she had it, or you might think she cut her hair just because she did it on her own. In my eyes, he didn't know that she had it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he knew that she had alopecia. He was making jokes. And like my man said earlier, he was running off another joke and got into the Will Smith thing. He looked at Jada like, oh, she cut her hair. Maybe she cut her hair for a movie scene, because a lot of actors cut their hair for different scenes in movies. He probably didn't even know she had alopecia. But for Will to react the way he did, that's unprofessional, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. That, for me, personally, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to sound rude, but if you'd have smacked me, hell with them Oscars, man.
Yeah.
Oscars been over with.
No,
I'd have had to drag him off the stage, man. I'm just being honest. Like, it was kind of alarming to see that, but
it was. But you bring an interesting perspective as a comic. You know, I know that we have a lot of comics in the family, in the Legacy Internet Radio alumni family. And so I'm glad and honored that you called us tonight, and you've always been a supporter, brother. We love you, man.
Yes, sir. Love you back, man.
We love you.
What y'all doing? I appreciate y'all, man.
You got it, brother. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling, bro.
Yes, sir.
You got it. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. We had gotten a hit earlier on in social media saying good evening. One of my mentors and one of my educators from my youth, Miss Jackson, was checking us out. Hopefully she's still listening, and here's her salutations. I did see it slip in there earlier, and I appreciate you rocking with us. John, finish up your point, and we get Steppin. We get Steppin here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to make it quick. Overall, in general, we can get into. We got time. We're gonna get into some specifics, but in general, I see it like this. I know what it's like to feel away, right? But I also know that we cannot just because we feel away, let us go out and do things. It's just not appropriate. And listen, and I'm gonna sound real jacked up right now.
Shocker.
I'm about to sound real jacked up, but men, we have to be even more responsible.
No, that ain't jacked up.
Because
that's
we're
real
men.
Talk. That's real talk. And
I don't mean no slight to a woman.
Yeah.
But as a man, you got to hold yourself a lot better than that. And at that moment, I don't got no beef with Will. I understand what he did. It's a part of a lifestyle that we grow up living in America. That's kind of insane. But that's what that kind of, I'll smack you, and that all of that talk, all of that street talk and vibrato, and that's insanity.
It's not real. It's insanity,
Yeah.
and I agree with that. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. Steph Sue makes an outstanding point, similar to where John was ending. Will Smith is not a thug, and he better be glad Chris Rock ain't either.
She right about that.
She is absolutely right.
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts on what's going on here?
You know, for a minute I was like, Will's having one of those I'm not black, I'm OJ moments. Like, you're doing things that the average black man could not get away with. You could say he had, I don't know who would say he had the right, but I've read it. I don't know anybody who said, but I've read plenty of Twitter comments where they're like, "Oh, he had a right," and I know the natural thing is that the only woman in the room would jump on the bandwagon and be like, "Yeah, he protected this woman." It was inappropriate. You assaulted someone in public on national TV, and he overshadowed his own moment. You know, you're there for. I know I would get the feeling, and I agree with John on something. I really didn't, even when he said the joke, I didn't take it as an alopecia joke, and alopecia wasn't on the front of my mind, and I have heard her talk about it. When I really think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember that. Alopecia wasn't in the front of my mind. What I thought he was doing, and he said it afterward, was it was a G.I. Jane joke, and if you listen to his jokes prior to that, he was talking about the classic movies and people who have been here, and then basically was like, oh, and Jada, with the G.I. Jane thing, which is basically, are we going to relive in G.I. Jane 2? We knew it was a flop, that type of thing. So I really think the joke was more about that. And I don't even think Will thought the joke was about her having alopecia. If you recall,
It wasn't even a little bit.
If you recall, and I think that's why he had. I unlike you, who thinks that he was that was the end of a laugh from a previous joke. No, he laughed. They were already on Will and Jada. If you watched it live, they went to Will and Jada. He laughed at that joke
because it was funny.
It was funny. It was funny if you keep it in context with the other jokes that were said. Even if you knew she had alopecia, the joke ran in line. Right. The joke, if you really go back and listen to the joke, it ran in line with the two jokes prior.
Did it have anything to do with 2016?
And that's where I was getting ready to go.
Okay.
So in 2016, Jada boycott the Oscars. And Chris, and now prior to that, he had been saying some things about her too, the work up to the Oscars. And so Chris turned it into a bit. We all know. Listen, I'm not a person that plays the dozens. I get in my feelings. It's going to devolve to me saying something that is going to really hurt your feelings, and it wasn't ever meant to be funny, because I don't joke like that. I don't joke on people about how they look and this, that, and the other. That's not where my humor goes. But if you're hanging around comedians, go ahead, Mark. I know they calling in, and I'll finish up on the other side.
Ain't no Ask Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. Calling you on the live line. What's your name? What's your comment?
Yeah, this is John.
What's happening, John? What's your comment?
Yeah, I feel like I'm overqualified for this subject, but I've been down that road so many times that Will was on, and for him to do what he did, I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna speak objectively. I thought it was funny as hell. At the same time, it was weak. It was weak sauce because, like other people probably said, he's a comedian. He's doing his job. And, light-skinned dudes ain't never coming back from this. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really upset about that. You know what I'm saying? Because we was on our way back and he messed it up. But, it's all
Took
good.
y'all right back out.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't worry. Wesley didn't help the dark skins.
Just to close out, like, I've been down that emotional road so many times with dudes talking and smack, but to do that in front of cameras, that's some weak sauce. That's all I'm gonna say.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for rocking with us. We know who you is. Holler back if you want to. All right. All right. Peace. Ain't no Ask Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den. Finish your point, Steph.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, where comedians go, right? We all know that if you're in the room with a comic, you go to a comedy show. I'm a girl who wears a bow. The funny bone, I have more than once been the butt of a joke by some guy, who's on stage. I actually was at the funny bone once with an older, mature gentleman, and the comic went on a 3-minute pedophile rant about the dude I was with because I had a bow on. He's like, oh, you date little girls. And it just kept going and going and going. And you know what? I'm at a comedy show in the front row. This is likely to happen. Also Will's a comedian. Let's be real. You started out funny guy. So there was a moment where I thought to myself, is this as much about Jada as this is about you? And I do think a lot of it has to go back to, you probably still had smoke with him over the 2016 thing, in which he went way off course. He actually was like, yeah, Jada's boycotting the Oscars tonight. And he goes, but
she wasn't invited.
She wasn't invited. And basically he said, her not coming to the Oscars or boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so he went into that. And I think, you know,
But where's the lie?
Well, and there you go. And and I think that it was still holding on to whatever that was from 2016. When he came out on stage, when he said her name, if you were watching it live, when he said her name, she immediately rolled her eyes. There was already smoke there. And Will just, you know, added a little heat and turned it to a fire. Now, the final thing I'll say just in this little segment is when you run up on somebody, Will's brave. You don't know how that man was going to react on national TV.
Oh no, he pretty much knew how he was going. That's another
maybe
thing.
he thought. I don't think so.
If that was
I don't
listen,
think so.
I will guarantee you, if The Rock was on stage,
Oh no, if it was
it
Jason
made the
Momoa,
same,
I made the same.
it made the same. Or I
Shaq.
take
Jason
how
Momoa,
about
who was
easy?
out
This
there
is-
earlier.
No, here's an easy one. Another comic, T.K. Kirkland. He's not rolling up on.
He rolling up on 50 Cent.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think he would.
He rolling
you
up
know,
on
okay,
Kanye?
so
Yeah.
maybe
He
he
ain't
did
rolling
think.
up on Kanye.
He rolling up on
Yeah,
Kanye.
he ain't
Maybe
rolling up on
he
Kanye.
did
Yeah,
think
he'll
he could
slap
take
Kanye.
him. Maybe he did think he could
I
get
think
away
I
with
think
it.
there's
But I
he
don't
will
think
slap.
he
He will
really
slap.
thought
He would have
that
slapped
through.
Kanye. He might have punched Kanye.
I do agree that there's an element of you know who you're dealing with.
You know
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah, and you really at that moment, I think to John's point about, you know, you demonstrate, and I can remember Jada talking about why their relationship got where it got in certain ways, and she said it was about his ego and his narcissism, and that even when he would give her a present, he made it about him.
Right.
And as
Look at the present I gave you.
well, or you know, he did this weird, outlandish, I guess, 40th birthday party for her, and created a movie around it, and it was really a Will Smith show, and she
It
felt
was a
it,
production,
and
yeah.
she called him on it. When I saw that, I was like, how much of this is really about her feelings, and how much of it is about you, and perhaps you being toxically masculine.
And you know, has Steppin
think
with
he's a
Marcus
little
J,
toxically feminine,
live
but
from
that's
New
all right.
Den Legacy Internet
Ain't got
Radio.
nothing to do with
Let me get
femininity.
some love
I think so. The
from
way he smacked him,
let me get
that
some
was
love
definitely a
from
female-
our
woman move.
sister. Our sister Colette is checking us out tonight, and thank you, Colette. Thank you for being a part of tonight's show and sharing with us the fact that the brother Will Smith has gone ahead and issued a statement in social media, and so
Yeah,
those
it's hot
folks
on
right
Twitter.
now
I
who
knew about
are listening and watching right now, I've gone ahead and I put the statement up on our screen, and you'll be able to see it. I'm going to read it, and I want to kind of get some reactions from the folks watching and listening here along with the crew. I'm gonna read this. It's on the screen, but I'm gonna read it anyway, and then I'll state my piece on this, and then we're going to talk about it holistically. But Will says violence in all forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed by my actions. We're not indicative of the man I want to be. There is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all of the attendees, everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and my King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress.
Shout out to the
Ain't no half stepping
publicist.
with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Net Radio. Shout out to my sister and one of my favorite people in the history of the world. My sister Lady Z is checking us out. She's saying much love to us and to me. And tell my babies I said peace. Ain't no half stepping Marcus J. All right, so we'll just kind of, I don't want to say stole my thunder, but I'll still say what I was going to say. When I watched this, when I saw it, what I saw was a dude that was just kind of upset and he was hurt. He was embarrassed. He was a lot of things. I am someone who sees a lot of myself in Will Smith. I see a lot of myself in Cory Booker, who we're going to talk about later on here in the show. Where am I going with that? They strike me as mild-mannered type of dudes, fun-loving type of dudes that don't want no smoke with nobody. That's how I am. But make no mistake, if you come for us, we'll flip a fucking table. And that's what I saw. I saw him flip a table last night. Now, it's never, shouldn't say never, it's usually not appropriate to flip a table. We don't need you flipping tables. But what that seemed to me, or what it felt like to me, was Chris Rock taking a smack in the face for August, for all of y'all making memes, for all of y'all making jokes. You know, here he is on the greatest night of his career, arguably, sitting there with his wife and the two of them looking fine if they're your type. And, you know, Lupita certainly was looking, oh, Lord,
Gorgeous.
Lupita. Okay, let me go back. Let me get back with her chocolates. Lord have mercy. All right, let me get back.
Dark chocolate.
Yeah, man, Lupita. Okay, this is not going to be about Lupita.
Like
let
a
me
golden
get myself
goddess.
back on on track. Yeah, Lupita goals. Hall pass. You hear that, baby? Hall pass. Anyway,
The worst.
let me get back. I just saw a dude that had enough. You know, if it was a shoot, then it was a shoot. It was a shoot to me. Like, that was a real situation. It wasn't staged. If you'd asked me right after it happened, I might have said it was staged. Today, I don't think it's staged. If you ask me tomorrow, it might be staged again. I don't think that it was. But at the end of the day, you had this dude that lost his cool. We getting a call here on the live line. So let me see who this is calling. See here. All right, caller, you on the live line. What your name is? What you want to say to us? Caller, you on the live line.
Oh,
Caller, turn your radio down. Don't
Turn
listen.
your radio
Don't
down,
listen to
turn your
yourself.
radio
Don't
down.
listen to
Terry.
yourself there. Listen to me. What's your name and what's your comment?
this is Terry.
Hey, Terry. All right, turn your radio down. Listen to us. What's your comment? Turn your radio down
name
and
is
listen
Terry.
to. Turn your radio
We're listening
down.
on two different streams. Me and Khalil are here.
Okay, all right. Turn your radio down and listen to me on the phone. What's your comment?
I believe that what we're seeing with what happened with Will Smith may be a little, not say mental breakdown, but a little bit of frustration. This is a man who has his life put out there in front of everybody by choice. I am not going to excuse Jada from this. You have to remember, you know, for the last year or so, you know, entanglement has been the biggest thing on the internet. And I feel like Will Smith has handled it with charm and grace. And he's continuously, you know, guarding his wife or taking the high road. But also with the 2016 incident, you know, where, you know, Chris Rock kind of, not only did he just, when he said something about, oh, Jada, she's TV, you weren't invited to the Oscars, and things like that, Will and Jada smiled through it. Oh, by the way, let me stop and say, John, Steph, Marcus, hey, fam, I love you. But
Love you too.
We love you
smiled
too,
through
cousin.
he smiled completely through it. But there does come a point where enough is enough. Not only did Chris Rock, you know, shade Jada, he also shaded Will Smith's ex-wife. You know, just by Will Smith posted a happy birthday post and Chris Rock came back and said something to the effect of, oh, you must have a very understanding wife. Chris isn't innocent, no, and Will isn't innocent. Should he have went and slapped the Jada out of his mouth on stage? No. But my mother always told me, you get smacked up where you act up.
Hey, that's
And
a
so
shout out to Auntie for that one. Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you, cuz. Thanks for rocking with us, man. We still here. We gonna be here. So if you hear something else, call us back, all right?
okay, I can barely hear you, but okay.
You got it. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy Net Radio. Let me get a couple of salutations, and I'm posting the comments on the screen as quickly as they come in. Some of the comments when they come in from our Legacy and that radio page, it says Facebook user. So Facebook user, when you see that come up on the screen, I got another spot here where I can see you. So I'm gonna shout you out. Shout out to our sister Alicia, who's checking us out. She had a comment earlier where she said that she agreed with Steph. There was more going on. He acted off her energy, which absolutely 100% agree with that. He was laughing because it was funny. Then all of a sudden it wasn't funny no more when it wasn't funny to her. So I can dig that, Alicia. Miss Jackson is checking us out. And yeah, I'm almost 50 and I'm gonna call you Miss Jackson until the rest of forever because you're my mentor and I love you. She said, didn't Chris create, and I could call you Veronica, but I'm not going to call you that. You're going to be Miss Jackson forever. Didn't Chris create the movie regarding Black women and their hair? Additionally, he did an interview with Sheila Bridges where she talked about her journey with the disease. That is, you nailed it. That's why you're the best. That's why you're awesome. Trauma for all parties not healed. Miss Jackson is still in that space. Let's see. Greg says that was hip hop artist. Able to call him a thug. They are celebrities, entertainers. We need to stop the worship. We need to stop the worship. I can dig that. Let's see. Our legal Tamika Robinson is checking us out. She says, "Hey fam, peace to her. Legacy Internet Radio alumni and one of the most intellectually sound and about as sisters I've ever met in the history of my life. Author Tracy Hardney Scott's checking us out. Hey, brother Marcus, Raw Silk here with you. Raw Silk, have been live in radio, Legacy Net Radio alumni, and I appreciate you. Your wisdom is always welcome here or anywhere that I am. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Day and Legacy Net Radio. All right, so I wanted to finish my point. I can't remember exactly where I was, but I'll just kind of put it back to the foot. Yeah, I mean his apology was necessary. You know, I'm one of those people who I want to give you grace. You know, I met Will Smith in 1988. I was 14 years old. He was 20. And I shook his hand. I knew he was great then. He was so nice to me and my younger sister. Cousin Terry is probably in her feelings about the fact that she's supposed to have been there with us and she wasn't. That's her problem, not a me problem. But you know, I've been a fan of this dude for my whole life, man. I've been a fan of Chris Rock my whole life, and Jada was one of my earliest crushes. Like, I love these people, like all of them. I love these people. And so it's easier for me to show them grace because I love these people. And, you know, we have it out in front of the world. And I'm one of those people who does not do anything with what white people think at the forefront. I just don't move that way anymore. You know, so caller, I see you there, but let me finish this point and then I'll bring you in, caller. Just give me a half a second to finish this point. I don't do nothing with worrying about what white people think anymore. I don't. And so for those black folks who are, oh my God, this is a stain on the culture and a stain on the people. Just 2 years ago, it was the whole thing about ain't no black people around. You bring black people around and now they fighting. Come on, man. We all know that white folks slap each other too. Like, stop it. Like, come on. You know, this self-deprecating thing of still in 2022 worrying about, you know, upsetting white folk or being afraid to show real emotion because you're afraid of how white folk would react to it is the manifestation of white supremacy and cultural conditioning. I ain't about that life no more. Ain't never gonna be no code switching with me ever again. The last time I did it was when a white man said that he was glad to be talking to me because I ain't one of them black guys on the phone on the job. And the last time I code switched was when I told him, you got one of these black dudes. Now what? Oh. Yeah. Oh. Ain't no hostile Marcus. Yeah, I call. I'm off my soapbox. What's your name? What's your comment? Caller, I
What's
see
good,
you.
family?
What's your name? What's your comment, caller?
What's good, family? It's PB.
Yo, what up, bro? Peace to you.
How you feeling? What's up?
Good, man.
What's
Tell
up,
everybody
Seth?
who you is
What's
for
up,
real.
John?
Tell everybody who you is for real. They may not have caught that.
Say that again?
Tell them who you are for real, because they may not have caught PB.
Oh, this is Damon, bro. This is Damon. Calling to check out the show tonight, baby.
All right, brother. Peace. What's your comment, man?
Listen, I was just calling in. I'm listening to the show, and it's like, yeah, everybody's talking about, and you led the show with, you know, protecting the black woman and everything, and I agree with that 100%. You know how I feel about that 100%, Mark. But at the end of the day, this whole thing with Will is I think he's still feeling emasculated by this whole red table talk from back in the day with Jada. And my thing is this: if he was laughing at the joke when he looked over at his wife, and his wife was actually suffering through it, and I can relate to that. I can understand that. But the platform in which he wanted to express his frustration with it was all wrong. It could have easily just go ahead and let Chris say what he's gonna say. Once he walked off the stage, Jada, baby, I'll be right back. I'm going to the bathroom right quick, and talk to Chris in the back, you know. And I think Steph made a comment earlier, or maybe John was. It's like he walked up on the stage, knew who he was walking up on. You know what I mean? He wouldn't have done that to, like you said, 50 Cent or somebody else or anything like that. My question is, he proceeded to do this in one of the whitest shows on all of white television.
On the white
I want to know what he would have done if that was Jerry Seinfeld standing there. If Jerry Seinfeld would have went ahead and said something like that, would he have walked up there and slapped Jerry Seinfeld in the mouth? I'm thinking, yeah. And I heard what you said about the with his apology. His publicist did a tremendous job. His publicist did a tremendous job, because I don't really think he meant any of that. Because at the end, he should have apologized to Chris when he was going up to accept his award. At the end of the day, you know. That's all I got to say.
Hey,
love y'all. Hey, great show, brother.
Hey, appreciate you, brother. Love you, man.
Thanks, D.
Peace. And you know how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and Radio. I said enough. I'm gonna step off of the soapbox. John, you got the con.
I'm just gonna say, like, this whole situation is unfortunate on many levels, right? But just you're talking about Will. Gotta get that.
Yeah. All you gotta, all you gotta do is talk about slapping people, situationships, and acting black in front of white folks, and the phone lines will blow the hell up.
All the stuff we talk about, and this is blowing up.
Caller, yeah, right. How about that? Caller, what's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, Brother Marcus, it's Ross Stuck. How are you?
Yo, what's happening, sister? How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Peace to you.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you all looking good. I'm sorry. I have a different opinion. I do not believe that Will Smith was protecting the integrity of a black woman at all. I believe that Will Smith was trying to show out his manhood because he's been punked for not being a real man, and he wanted to show some cojones on national TV to everybody. Jada Smith is one of the most, hardest chicks I know in the game, okay? She's beautiful. She looked absolutely stunning last night, and everybody keeps talking about alopecia. He didn't say anything about her disease. She did look like G.I. Jane. It was all about the cut of the hair. I think that their history, and even the joke in 2016, he was right. She wasn't invited. The Oscars is for people in the movies. So I think that some of the jokes may be in poor taste, but trust me, okay, I'm a big girl with a gap. I've had jokes about being big. I've had jokes about being, now, Brother Marcus, you know my husband. If you disrespect me, he will break you in half. But talking about a cut, something so simple, or walking on the stage, and the brother that just spoke before, he was right. If that was Bernie Mac, if that was DL, if that was Steve Harvey, he wouldn't have not have walked across that. If that was Mike Epps, anyone, that he knew that behind would have got taxed, he would not have walked up on that stage, okay? And so I just think that Will lost a lot of brownie points because we expected more of him. Did he have a breaking point? I think the deeper issue is we're looking at a mental health issue. I think that Will has been broken. His wife has emasculated him. She done made a gelding out of him at the red table. You sitting there, you crying. So you mean to tell me that, okay, brothers, let's talk real talk. A man sleeps with your wife and clowns about it, and you don't slap that brother, but a brother says a joke about her hair, and you walk across the stage and slap him? I'm sorry, I'm having a whole problem with that. I think that his masculinity was challenged, and that's what this is all about. And he thinks that now he done got some kind of points back. So great talking to you guys. Appreciate y'all always giving me the opportunity. Love you, bro.
Love you too, sis. Peace to you. Peace to the brother. Peace to the fam. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy and Radio. John, go ahead and make your point. We're getting ready to shift.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, we're talking about Will Smith and Chris Rock. We're talking about two black men who can greenlight movies. right? People don't. I want you to understand. In Hollywood, we look at movies and we think about being entertained. People in Hollywood look at movies and they see opportunities to make money, right? It's called they call it a vehicle. Let's take a ride. That's what they say. Let's take a ride. Chris Rock was like, "Yo, I want to make a movie about top 5 rappers." Made a movie, made money. Will Smith, I want to make a movie and put my son in it. Made a movie, done. Just done. Like when you have that kind of power and influence in the entertainment world, I don't really care what you do. Like, you go around, slap each other, make jokes about them rich people problems, right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now that could be addressed that is being outshined. Besides the fact that Questlove won for the documentary, besides the fact that the openly queer Afro-Latina young lady won for whatever she won for. On top of that, Ukraine is still telling black folk to take a back seat in the country, and we're still assisting them. We're still flying the Ukraine flag with full knowledge of their racist practices, and nobody's calling anybody in this country to question for it. So many other things are going on, and it's like you mentioned Kanye earlier, right? Come on, this is the same thing, just two different people. What Kanye did, what Will did, it's the same thing. And people want to throw Kanye under the bus. He lost his mind a long time ago. Go get the call.
Yeah, I'm not going to agree with you on that because I don't remember Kanye punching somebody in the face. But
it was much worse.
We can get into that later on. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. Caller, you on the live line? What's your name? What's your comment? Caller, you there?
Hello?
We see you. Go ahead, caller. What's your name? What's your comment?
Yeah, I think it's everybody, man. I think now mental health awareness runs so rapid now that everybody has a short fuse. And I mean, you see it if in society today, you see it a whole lot. I mean, it's no telling what people are dealing with. And Will, yes, I think he's just dealing with a lot and just was at the breaking point. And you see that in society today. I mean, everybody has a very, very short fuse. And I think that's just the mental health part of it all.
I can dig that.
Today's society.
Caller, what's your name? Who are we speaking with?
My name is Reese Tyler.
Reese, we appreciate you listening to us. We appreciate you calling us, man. You welcome here anytime. You home here.
All right, okay.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I just think it's just, with all of us in today's society, you see it, with road rage, you see it in domestic violence, you see it in street violence. It's just everybody nowadays just have a very short fuse.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. You make a great point. Wonderful, man. Thank you for calling. Thank you for being with us tonight, man. Call us anytime, all right?
Have a nice day.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. We getting some love from one of our favorite listeners and Legacy and Radio alumni, the career cheerleader, our sister Cara Presley, is checking us out. She is successful. We are successful because she's rocking with us. Caller, you on the live line. What's your name? What's your comment?
Yo, what's up, family? It's Big Bro Joe. How y'all doing tonight?
We doing well, brother. Anytime,
hey, brother, so good to hear your voice.
Anytime we hear your voice, it's a good day for us, man. How you doing?
Yo, I'm having a good night sitting here listening to the show. I watched the previews earlier and listened to what everybody is saying, and I just had I wanted to chime in a little bit. Where I was just listening and to everybody speaking on the fact of mental illness. I was listening to people speak on the fact that it was fake. It really doesn't matter. Honestly, if a lot of these so-called, hey Terry, what's up, sweetie? A lot of these so-called gangster folks that I've been looking at on Facebook and wherever, guess what? If where he did it at wasn't right, why wasn't it right? You feel that way because it was on national television? So what? If you call my lady out regardless of the fact, and some people say, oh, he was just faking it, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a breaking point sometime, and you never know. yeah, he chuckled at the joke at first, but then when he saw the hurt in Jada's face, he had to address it for himself. And that's how he did it. So what if you all think that it was wrong for him to do it? He did it. If we were in the streets, everybody know the adage what on site. If it's on site, then it's on site. If all of these gangster people out here, if it was your wife or your girlfriend or your mother or sister, you would have said something too. You check, like you said. I mean, you checking where he is.
Yeah.
And if he slapped him, he slapped him. So what?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to agree with you, and it's okay because we often don't agree. But here's here's what I will say. Terry, Lady Z, Coach Reggie Ship, they all saying Joe. They're giving you love. And so let me just make sure that you know that you loved by many, brother, and you may not even know it, but you know it now. So peace to you on that. I'm going to go ahead and give my comment in response to what you said after I let you go in the interest of time. I'm going to give you an opportunity to say one last thing to your audience as Legacy Internet Radio alumni. Go ahead and say your last piece.
Yo, like I said, yes, Big Bro Joe, I miss being with my family, John and Lady. How y'all doing out there? I miss being there with you.
Hey, bro.
Sooner than later, I'll be back functioning in society, and hopefully I can get a chance to swing with y'all and have a good night.
You got it, brother. We got love for you, man. It's glad to hear you strong and well. You have no idea how much you got love here, the team and the family here, and you know how your little brother do. And you ain't shit without your homeboy.
Oh, that's right, family.
You got it, brother. Peace. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. One of the things that I will say where I disagree, I get the on-site and all that, but what I don't agree with is fighting in your school clothes. You know what I mean? When you a kid, one of the first things your parents tell you is don't put your hands on nobody. Because somebody says something mean to you, sticks and stones and all that stuff. They tell you don't fight in your school clothes. You know what I mean? Don't come in here with your school clothes all messed up. Like, I want to bring it back to juvenile because it's what it is. Like, we are 53 years old and 57 years old, give or take a year or two when we're dealing with Will Smith and Chris Rock. Like, I get the whole thing of, defending your lady, but come on, man. Defending your lady, for real? You got on a whole tuxedo. And he made a joke. It was ill-timed and it was dumb. But it wasn't mean-spirited, and you thought it was funny because we all saw you laughing. And we know that you feed off your lady. Many of us men do, and I could dig defending her. But you took that way too far. Now, I don't want to throw too many stones at you, Will, because you came out right then and there, an hour later, when you won the Oscar for best actor in a motion picture. You apologize to everybody but Chris. You apologize to everybody but Chris. So there is some grace there, but I'm never gonna be okay with throwing punches when nobody threw a punch to you first. Like, that's not gonna be all right with me. And I'm gonna challenge anybody who want to talk about the streets in their 50s. We talking about the streets, we in our 50s with tuxedos on, but we gonna take it to the streets right there on site, like all that. Really? Come on, man. Be a grown-up. Have some class and decorum. You at the Oscars with a tux on and your mama's watching, but you gonna get up and smack somebody because he made a silly, stupid joke? Come on, man. We all grown people here. Let's stop it. Like, for real. Stop it. All you people justifying Will, who I love, who I've been on record is saying that I love, who I said I love tonight, who I've given grace to because he is a man who admitted he was wrong, who apologized for being wrong. I ain't even talking to Will. I'm talking to everybody saying, yeah, Will, yeah, man, on site, man, taking to the streets, man. You 55 years old and you on the streets with a tuxedo on. Knock it off. Really. Caller, you on the live line. What's your name, caller? What's your comment?
Hey, y'all, it's Cara.
The career cheerleader. Thank you for being patient while I stood on here on this soapbox. The career cheerleader, Cara Presley. Thank you, Legacy and that radio alumni, host of Richmond's own Red Table Talk. That's right. Thank you, Steph.
Yeah, friend
And the
to the
and the
Smith
Right.
family.
Yeah, you know,
and Red Table Talk podcast.
I am
Support our
very,
sister.
very interested to hear your perspective on all of this. So I'm gonna put my mic down and listen to you, sis. What you got on this?
Listen, I just wanted to come on here and say, I hope we all work through things this quickly because Chris and Will have since apologized to each other. I think that we have all revealed some colors today. It's been interesting to see the perspectives, and it's been interesting for me to see the people who had silent battles as well with alopecia. As I grow as an adult, which I hope we are all paying attention to, some things just make me move a little bit more cautiously. I have been Chris, where I have just been rambling and nervous and said something too quick that I should have took back or shouldn't have said. And I have been Will, where I have reacted and wished I didn't react, So I just pray that everyone understands what empathy is and prays for the same grace, if not understanding as well, in any situation we face moving forward. So that's it. Thanks, y'all, for always continuing the conversation.
We appreciate you and thank you for being a sister to us, and thank you for supporting us, and thank you for being a career cheerleader. You have no idea the effect and impact that you have with your eternal positivity, and it's helpful. It really is, because when often I'm having a not so positive day, I'll look up and see that you done posted something, and then I'll see your smiling face, and I'll realize, it's gonna be all right. We move, you and I, in very similar energy. And every time I see you, hopefully you understand how much I love you and how much the flowers that we give to you is 100% genuine. So thank you for being you, and thank you for doing what you do.
Yes, and thank you, Marcus. And I will say, waking up this morning to see your post in a mind of confusion, because I think we all were confused last night. Like, we just love Will, but when you see other people just rationalize it and say, okay, I saw this as well, or we just allowed that man to have a moment, you know what I mean? It helps me understand that, there is care and compassion in the world. So I appreciate you. I'm going to hang up and get back in the comments.
You got it. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Steph, we are at the part of the show where I get corny and make it weird, and I say what I say at this point every single week. You ready for it?
Okay.
Let us move on.
I don't ever think it's weird.
Hey man, hey look, I live in a space of the corny guy. Hey look, I'm the corny awkward guy, and I'm good with it, and I can dig it. And you know who else is the corny awkward guy? Our brother Cory Booker. And now we're going to.
Oh my God, he's so corny.
He is
so
corny.
Awkward.
He's corny and he's a little bit awkward. But I see Cory Booker. I live Cory Booker, and I love Cory Booker. And Cory Booker last week, on the floor of the House in the confirmation hearings for the prospective next Supreme Court justice, and phone lines are going to be down here for just a few minutes. I'll bring them back up here shortly, but I want to get through some stuff. So I'll bring the phone lines back up shortly for those folks who are listening and want to get in, and I'll let you know when I'm bringing them back up. But he spoke on behalf of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, and he said a lot of the things that she would not be able to say because of the format. I'm going to play about a 2.5-3 minute clip of it, and then we're going to talk about it, keeping with our theme of defending the Black woman. It is very different from getting out of your seat at the Oscars and smacking someone who made an ill-timed, poor-tasted, non-malicious joke versus being in a room with a whole bunch of people who don't want neither one of y'all there and actually saying the things that y'all about to hear. Cory Booker speaking on behalf of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Take a listen.
Thank you very much, Judge. After me, only 5 to go. But sit back for a second, because I don't have questions right away. I actually have a number of things I just want to say, because this has been not a surprise, given the history that we all know, not a surprise, but perhaps a little bit of a disappointment. Some of the things that have been said in this hearing. The way you have dealt with some of these things, that's why you are a judge and I am a politician, because you have sat with grit and grace and have shown us just extraordinary demeanor. You got here how every black woman in America who's gotten anywhere has done by being, like Ginger Rogers said, I did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards in heels. I want to tell you, when I look at you, this is why I get emotional. I'm sorry, you're a person that is so much more than your race and gender. You're a Christian, you're a mom, you're an intellect, you love books, but for me, I'm sorry, it's hard for me not to look at you and not see my mom, not to see my cousins, one of them who had to come here and sit behind you. She had to have your back. I see my ancestors and yours. Nobody's going to steal the joy of that woman in the street, or the calls that I'm getting, or the texts. Nobody's going to steal that joy. You have earned this spot. You are worthy. You are a great American. That is the story of how you got to this desk. And so you faced insults here that were shocking to me. Well, actually not shocking. But you are here because of that kind of love. And nobody's taken this away from me. So you got 5 more folk to go through. 5 more of us. And then you can sit back and let us have all the debates. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a well-charted Senate floor, because it's not going to stop. They're going to accuse you of this and that. Heck, in honor of your person who shares your birthday, you might be called a communist. But don't worry, my sister. Don't worry. God has got you.
And, you know, I have Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. He just said, God has got you. He said a lot there, Steph, as we shift from Will Smith and the conversation of protecting the black woman to Cory Booker. And, you know, as the resident and only sister in the room, I suppose it would be appropriate for us to ask you what you think of the conversation around protecting the black woman. So I won't ask a question, but I will put that on the floor as a point to reference if that is your pleasure. Having said that, now on the floor for those viewing and listening, we've got the situation last night at the Oscars with Chris Rock and Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Now we have moved and shifted to the confirmation hearings of potential Supreme Court Justice Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, how she has been treated during these confirmation hearings, and how Cory Booker just in his own way defended a black woman. The con is yours.
So I actually was watching the 3 days worth of confirmation with KJB, as she now is affectionately called. And I have to tell you, it was extremely triggering. I didn't want to miss any of it, certainly because I'm someone who loves to watch politics in action and all of the things that are going on, even when I don't agree with it. But it was triggering because they did everything they could to take a qualified and in the face of the other people on the bench, overqualified if they were the standard individual, and turn her into someone who is soft on crime, which is a trope that has been used for black people a long time, that we are more tolerant of crime or criminality, and someone who is soft on crimes that are targeting children, which as a mother is totally offensive, moved into the silliest questions. There wasn't one thing that I really heard being asked of her that I felt was relevant to the role in which she's being nominated. And I appreciate that Cory Booker stepped in. I'll get to that part. But I'm disappointed that more people didn't speak up. I'm disappointed that in order for a Black woman to be seen as qualified, or let's even erase that. Many of these men have voted for her to be on the federal bench and know she's qualified. But because they don't want her on the Supreme Court, they lobbed lies. They brought out conspiracy theorists. There were theories. There were all kinds of things. And I felt like Cory Booker should have been the least of them to protect her. I felt like the chairman did not do enough. I felt that Lindsey Graham was offensive at best. Ted Cruz, offensive at best. And there were a lot of people that could have spoke up. But there was almost this element of, she's a Black woman. She's strong. She can handle it. Let's let them keep going at it. One of the questions that I'll just say this. When they asked Amy Barrett Coney questions about who does the cooking in her house, they did everything they could to paint her as, Brady Bunch mom. Look how wonderful this woman is. They weren't mean to her. They weren't disrespectful, Democrat or Republican. And she had real issues, not only with her record or lack thereof, because she has not had as much practice as Judge Brown Jackson, but in general, she got kid glove treatment as a white woman. And to sit there and watch and think to myself that it's almost devastating to think that for a Black woman to get to a certain place, she has to first be tortured and traumatized and bruised. She has to be abused in that process. It's a part of the landscape of Black womanhood. Oh, if you want to be in love and be with somebody, you got to be a ride or die, and you got to stick with them through all the garbage they put you through, and so on and so forth. There's not any area where Black women are able to escape that expectation of absorbing trauma in order to be present or in order to be accepted. I love that he spoke up for her, or that he spoke about her. I wish that he would have spent more time addressing them. I think there are moments in time where we don't address the problem, John. We kind of pull back, and I think he actually soft shoot around it. I think
not kind of, absolutely.
I think protecting a Black woman in that moment wasn't lovely words. Oh, sis, and I get it. I get that there's this level of civility people are expected to have, but that went out the window on day one.
There was no civility there.
It was gone on day one. And what I would have liked to see is him pulling their card. Get Ted Cruz.
They won't see. Here goes the thing. He said, "Well, we didn't play," which made me not. I don't. At this point, Cory Booker couldn't get my vote because he said, my friend and colleague Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Me and Ted Cruz are friends, and
how are you friends with Ted Cruz?
And this is, if y'all remember, I kind of always drive this point home with people. You can't give passes because we don't get none.
Right.
We don't. We don't get any when we give too many.
Can I say? I saw a bumper sticker the other day, and it said, "Love your neighbor," and underneath it said, "Without qualification." And I thought to myself, only a white person could be driving that car, or a Black person that is so committed to Jesus that they would say no matter what. There are exceptions to every rule.
Mm-hmm.
You can love your neighbor, but you don't have to love the racist. You don't have to love the man that spent hours attacking a Black woman on national TV, and by the way, attacking her for a record that she is lockstep in line with other judges. She ruled along the lines of all the other judges. 70% of judges ruled exactly the way she does within those sentencing guidelines. For me, it was, okay, great. Cory Booker steps in and he says these nice flowery words, but defending Black womanhood and Black women looks very different to me. It doesn't even look like what Will Smith did. I said, I agree with sis who called. I said it earlier. I don't think it was as much about defending Black womanhood as I thought it was about ego and everything else. In the case of Cory Booker, great, beautiful words, but defending Black women, and as we get farther into this conversation, I'll tell you what I think it looks like, but I'll tell you it doesn't look as nice as that when you're defending Black women and Black womanhood in the face of white supremacy. It needs to be more clear. When you're defending Black womanhood or Black women in the face of toxic masculinity, it needs to be louder and bolder. When you're defending Black women in the face of Black masculinity that is abusive, it needs to be direct and confrontational, brother to brother, and it needs to be clear. In the case of KJB, I felt like we soft shoot around it all 3 days. All 3 days, these Democrats who are supposedly wanting this woman to be the nominee and to make it to the bench were very soft, were extremely soft. I'll be honest with you, there was a Republican senator that was less soft than some of the Democrats, including Cory Booker, and that was Ben Sass. And he's still a jackass because he won't vote for her, he said. He said she is exceptionally qualified. Unfortunately, I can't give her my vote. But at least what he said there was much more confrontational. I know that Cory's not going to do that. We've seen him in many other cases, even when he said, my friend Tim Scott. Tim Scott is no friend to Black people.
No friend to Cory Booker.
And no friend to
not even the
Cory
white side of him.
Absolutely. And so, great. Thanks, Cory. Cool. But defending and protecting Black women, first of all, protection means we never end up in the fray. We never end up in the fray. I can look at this as a Black woman and say, there are many times where, I've been in the presence of someone and I don't feel like they're keeping me out of the fray. They're not protecting me, defending me after the fact when you were there before I got attacked. That's a problem.
We need to talk about that. We need to talk. We may have to do a show with people understand the difference between protection and rescuing.
Right.
Right. you Johnny come lately, right? With your thing, right?
You saw me getting beat up and then you stepped in.
Right.
And after the person ran off, I'm
Right.
bleeding. You want to give me a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Step in before I need the Band-Aid.
Yeah. Don't have you in the situation to begin with.
And she was in a situation.
And I tell you, a lot of things were personal to me this week. Thing with Will and everything. And this thing, I'm saying to myself as her husband sat behind her, I said, I probably would have said to her, excuse me, baby, and went on her mic and said to them, listen, watch your tone. You can ask your question, but you're not going to speak to my wife with that tone of voice.
And that, John, right? I'm glad you're bringing that up because that's a big part of it.
Forget about the words.
Tone.
Forget about the questions. They were speaking to her
mad disrespectful,
like a slave woman, with the tone, with a derogatory, authoritative. No, I don't speak to her like that. You damn sure ain't gonna speak to her like that.
And then, people who are nuanced in conversation, where we can have lively discourse where we might cut across each other and keep it pushing. When somebody's like, oh, you cut me off, I'm just like, you need to broaden your mind so that you're capable of thinking beyond somebody cut. You can cut me off and I'm still going to remember my point, right? The way that they were cutting her off wasn't about anything other than, I'm not here with anything other than a whip in hand.
Yeah.
All I want is for you to cry. Right. I don't want you explaining. I don't care about your explanation because I'm just here for the abuse.
Right. But the only thing about that is, like I said, her man didn't do anything. Nobody in the room did anything. Joe Biden did nothing. Nobody did nothing to address the fact that no one should speak to anyone in the tone and manner that they spoke to that woman. Now let's take it to the next step. No man should speak to a woman with that tone of voice. Now let's take it to another level. No white man should ever be allowed to speak to a black woman in that tone of voice and in that manner. It's just, And the fact that everybody, again, I always say this, I gotta think that the people in that room are at least as smart as I am. At least. Most of them have law degrees and so on and so forth. I don't, right? So they all knew what was going on. They all recognized it as it was transpiring. And even to her, people speak to her grace and her posture and so on and
I
so
hated
forth.
that.
At a certain point, it's like you and this job can kiss my ass.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Day Legacy Net Radio. You know, I agree with the sentiment of what's being said. And, you know, folks in social media, we love y'all so much because the comments are just coming in so fast and furious. And in lieu of me reading them online, I'm putting them on the screen so that, you know, everybody who is watching us can participate and see what everybody is saying and that sort of thing. And as John and Steph and I continue the conversation, you know, as I watch the confirmation hearing, you know, I hear what's being said. I don't disagree with what's being said, but I also remember the last three confirmations that we had from Kavanaugh and Gorsuch and Coney Barrett. And, you know, those weren't what I would like to call easy confirmations. I mean, the Democrats came for them. And
Rightfully.
well, let me finish.
Go ahead, because I got
we're not gonna do to cut me off.
All
though.
right, no, go ahead,
Okay, we're
finish,
not gonna do
please.
that.
All right.
The Democrats came for them, as rightly they should. And it is customary that the opposite party comes for the person that is being spoken to. And so while I know that and I have seen that, as I'm watching the confirmation with Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, I got that in my mind. I'm well aware of that. And I'm also aware that as a black man, I am a lot more sensitive to how she's being spoken to than I would how the two white men and the white woman were being spoken to. And so, you know, it is relative. It comes with the territory. You know, this is a judge. This is someone who is more qualified than anybody who's ever been considered for this position, ever.
Checks all the boxes.
Every single box, more qualified than everybody. And the people questioning her, now hear me when I say this, the people questioning her, many of them are not qualified to clerk for her. And so that's the backdrop. Having said that, as black people, we're used to far worse. We're used to it. We are. Now, when we saw Senator Cory Booker speak for her, and I played that clip. It's an 11-minute clip of which that we played just under 3 minutes of. He said a lot of the stuff that y'all are saying. He just said it very eloquently, politically, and savvyly. You know, y'all coming for this lady, and she's smarter than all y'all. And she's an American, and she's proud to be one, and y'all coming for her. Y'all sound crazy. It's basically what I got from what he was saying. Is the same as what you guys are saying. I am one who says that while it is outrageous to see it and to hear it, it's par for the course. If you want to be on the Supreme Court, you can't have no thin skin.
See, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I do want to.
We're gonna go together on this because I think we both
Hey,
are in
man,
the same.
bring it.
Field.
I mean, I tell them to call me.
here's
Y'all
what I'm saying.
sitting here, come, let's get it.
Here's the problem. I watched all those hearings, word for word. Nobody in the room spoke to those men or that woman in the manner or tone that they spoke to that woman. Not one single time was there any down talk, berating, or matter of facting in the conversation, nor was it any how dare you speak while I'm speaking, state know your place tone, right? And it is not subjective and it is not indeliberate. It's deliberate. They know what they're doing, they know why they're doing it, and it is a reminder, right, to stay in your place. Nobody spoke to those other people that you mentioned in that manner. And I cannot have anyone even attempt to try to make it the same thing, because it's not. They got to ask tough questions, but in all actuality, they got softball questions in compared to the questions she got. I listened to every word of each one of the trials, all 4 of them. And I'll tell you this, the questions notwithstanding, right? Although they were ridiculous, ludicrous, and without merit, I would have not had issue with the questions had they not used that tone with that woman. I felt personally offended, right? And I am now at a state with the what's my man's name? The guy who was the chairman.
Dick Durbin.
Durbin can kiss my ass. I'm not Cory Booker can't get my vote, and the rest of them Democrats can all take a long walk off a short bridge, because to hell with them. They allowed their colleagues and friends. Corey said it. It's my friend Ted Cruz. We go out together. We have fun. I am not a friend, nor will I promote anybody who would dare speak to a woman that way, much less a black woman. I don't affiliate, associate, or tie my wagon to any of that kind of ignorance and stupidity at any cost. There is no price. There is nothing that man can earn in his life to sit in that room among those people and allow that to happen. I would have had to do a Lindsey Graham. I had to walk out the damn room, because I can't be in a room and let that happen.
You mentioned Lindsey Graham.
Whatever
I
his
would
name
argue,
was, the other one, whoever left the room, who left?
It was Lindsey Graham.
Yeah,
I'd argue, Steph, that Lindsey Graham was the greatest offender of how you're referring.
No, but I'm talking about.
I know
I'm
what you're
talking about what he did.
I know what you're talking about.
And you were there.
Because I'm not gonna sit there and let that. Because you know what you do. You know what they did to Cory Booker? They called him the N-word to his face, and he sit there and laugh. Oh, God got you. But they called him an N to his face while they were berating that black woman, and he liked it.
I don't know about
but I
all
do.
that.
Listen,
I can
listen.
dig it.
I can break it down.
Go ahead. Yeah, obviously. Go ahead, Steph.
Y'all are funny. So, watching it and even reading Lathrell's comment. If you don't mind, I'm gonna read it here.
Please do.
She's both Sue and Lathrell make comments that hinge to what I was gonna say. Sue says they try and break you down so they can say you are too weak for the job, but get offended when you don't break down in front of them. And then Lathrell said, I had to deal with that tone of disrespect last week from my director and one of my supervisors. 2 white women talking to 3 black women. I almost quit. I want to tell you that the experience that black women have in corporate America is unique to black women. It is very unique to black women. It doesn't happen to black men in the very same way, because masculinity, the gender, trumps everything in that case. When you're sitting,
there might be a slap in your future.
Right. When you're sitting in that space, and all of my sisterhood who has worked, I'll say this: there are sisters can't work at Wawa without being denigrated. And so when you sit in a space as a black woman and you watch those 3 days, there were times, I kid you not, I don't think I was able to eat lunch 2 of those days. I was sick to my stomach, because as I was watching that, I was living it. I've worked in a space where I've been to Sue's point, successful but too strong. And so therefore the promotion is not yours. Well, or I've been in a space where people have said things to me that have been out of line, and I've had to wonder whether or not I can respond without risking my livelihood, even as a contractor. The other side of that is, while I was sitting, it's not par for the course. It is not par for the course. Par for the course, if Marcus, if they had said to her, we're going to go down your record and tear it apart, and they had kept it in that space, and even if it was harsh, I could have accepted it, because you're asking me about my performance, my job performance, in a truthful light. None of that was done. You had someone, Lindsey Graham, literally say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how faithful are you? What kind of Christian are you? That was early in the process.
That was one of his first questions.
That was and one of the first questions she got overall.
It was illegal, and the chairman should have
It
banged the
is.
gavel and thrown him out.
It absolutely is.
100%.
It absolutely is illegal because you cannot screen on the basis of religion. Shouldn't even been a question. Chairman didn't do his job. But when again, sitting there as a Black woman, none of that was just about the environment and you're going after a top-notch job and you've got to be you got to have thick skin. Listen, we're the mules of society. They already think we have thick skin. They already can watch us cry and not be bothered. I'll tell you, there are Black men that can watch us cry and not be bothered by it. There are Black women who will say to other Black women, you got to suck it up, stop crying, don't let them see you. No, it's an emotion. You're a human being. The fact that she was forced to remain composed, and we call that poise, is bullshit. She's being asked to tolerate abuse in order to be included in something that is supposed to be above reproach. You want me to see the Supreme Court as a space for individuals that are above reproach. And what you're really mad at, and this is all of you white America who are listening right now and would never call in, what the real anger was is the same anger that you had about Barack, except add a uterus, add a vagina. You're angry that she's above reproach. You're angry that she's not an accused rapist. You're angry that she wasn't a young woman that was running around drinking beer with Squee and the girls. You're angry that nobody has ever accused her of anything other than Black excellence. And then you take it over to the other side. You're angry that she's better than the white woman you put on the bench, that she has all of the home qualifications, husband, children, everything they feel you have to have as a woman in order to be considered, successful. Because if she didn't have children, I promise you, it would have been like, why don't you have children?
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? And then they said, and she has the nerve to be dark-skinned. What's going on with this natural hair? And why is she married to a white man? And he's a surgeon. There is a problem that Black women have to deal with. The problem is that we are born excellent. We're beyond it. We produce in our communities. We produce in workspaces. Let me tell you something. Working in corporate America, I work just as hard as somebody would out in a field because I always have something to prove. Always have something to prove. There's always something hanging over my head. There's always the expectation that when the white woman weaponizes her tears against me, because I promise you, if Amy Coney Barrett had cried once, they would have said, we need to take a recess. Men have a very hard time. I said it on this show before. I'll say it again. I'd say it on any show. There is no greater power in this world than the emotions of a white woman. It has the greatest sway. It has the greatest influence. It gets the most significant results all the way to death. Emmett Till. All the way to death. There is no weaker response than to the pain of a Black woman. The response to the pain. That's why we're so excited about Cory Booker. If we really dig deep, we're excited about Cory Booker because we all know that we are not normally defending Black women in any way. So his tepid response was more than we usually see. If I'm out with you two brothers and a white man calls me out my name and you say, I know he didn't really mean it because he's my friend, but Sister Steph, I know you're better. You forget his words. I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy.
You would never have that problem with us.
I know this. I know this.
You'd have that problem with Cory Booker.
It would be the smack would come, I would assume, from one of you,
Yeah.
and the other one would be on the back end waiting to put a little chokehold on. I know this.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that with us.
And so it's very hard for me to be in love with the response of Cory Booker because I don't want the bare minimum to be the thing you show up with when one of your sisters is being beaten down. This woman, when I tell you my stomach was in knots at the idea that she was going to have to endure this, I will tell you that
Well, we knew it before she even
Lindsey,
sat down.
well, Lindsey Graham said prior to everything, this will be a respectful confirmation hearing. I want you all to realize that this
You shouldn't
is,
have had to say that.
but I want you to realize this is what they think is respectful.
No. He said
of a black
people are going
woman.
to say we're racist,
But
but we're not.
But the fact that he had to say this will be a respectful.
He already knew.
You that tells you that you already know that they coming for her. And,
Yes.
and let me.
And it was also, let me go ahead and get ahead of the fact that you guys are going to call us
Oh,
racist.
you're gonna come for us.
So I'm going to be racist, but I want to go ahead and take the edge off and say that wasn't the intention. He even said, let's be clear. We have a responsibility to ask her whatever we need to ask her. And we're not going to allow you calling us racist, make us scared to do it.
Yeah.
That's gaslighting.
It's absolutely gaslighting, and it is the epitome of white supremacy.
Exactly.
It is an example of white supremacy. And I don't need to clarify anything that I said. I stand by what I said. What I said was I knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming, and they attack everybody when they're sitting in that seat. As it being a black woman, her obviously being the first, it is going to affect us more because we never seen it before. And they actually come for her. And they said things to her in tones that obviously got us all up in arms. I played the clip of Cory Booker because nobody else in that room was going to speak for her.
That part is true.
Nobody else in the room was going to speak for her. And
I wish Kamala was still a senator at this point.
yeah,
That was one of those moments.
I honestly, I agree with John. I don't know that she would.
I've seen her
maybe
in action.
Maybe she would. Maybe she wouldn't.
And I think don't ever underestimate the feeling of having been the black woman that's experienced that when another black woman is in the room. Don't ever underestimate it. Because I'll be honest with you, I've had sisters ready to go to battle for me.
You know what's funny that you make that point.
Where was her white paper though?
You hold on.
She
John,
hasn't said anything about it.
Hold on, John. I remember Judge Brown Jackson did mention how when she was on campus, there was a black woman that she saw, and I don't remember the actual conversation, but it was something along the lines of keep her head up, and that sort of thing. I don't know that I agree that Cory Booker's response was tepid. We'll agree to disagree on that, but I think that the way that he spoke, to her, for her, in a room full of people who clearly didn't want either one of them there, was necessary. It was poignant. And clearly she was moved by it because it was the only time that I saw her cry the whole 3 days she was sitting there.
3 days of getting your ass beat.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna be moved if somebody just says you okay. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
What you watched in that 3 days, what I watched as a black woman, and I'll say as an unambiguously black woman. No one's walking around wondering if I'm mixed. As a black woman that is clearly black, and she is darker skinned than I am.
Yes, she
and
is.
she's wearing locks.
Yes, she is.
Full lips, dark lipstick, Whoopi Goldberg style. She didn't come out there with anything that was ambiguous about her ethnicity. Sitting there watching that for me was a recognition that it's always going to be harder for us. They're always going to say, if you really want to be here, this is the gaslighting nature. If you really want to be here, this is what you got to put up with.
Yeah.
Clarence, I went back and watched Clarence Thomas after this all because I needed to be able to speak from a point of education. So I went back and watched Amy Coney Barrett, John Roberts, Kavanaugh, and
Thomas,
and then took it further and went and watched what was available on Thurgood Marshall. This, of all of them, was the most abusive, and Marshall's was pretty abusive.
Yes, because he was the first one. Here's the thing, though, right? I'm not justifying anything, so let me just lead with that. But we as black people shouldn't be surprised by anything that we saw, because at the end of the day, with all due respect to anybody who's hearing this, I don't expect nothing different from white people in the Senate and in the House. You know, we can be outraged by it, as we should, because of how she was treated. And probably my tone as I led this is coming from a place of not acceptance, but understanding of they don't want you here. They just don't want you here. You know, the whole inclusive America, and Martin Luther King once said, be true to what you said on paper. They're not going to be true to what they said on paper. They used to call you the N-word to your face. Now they say urban neighborhoods. Like, all you got to do is look back at Lee Atwater. And I bring him up on this show every once in a while. But the way that white supremacy is now has shifted from how it used to be. Doesn't mean that you get used to it, but it does mean that you understand it. And it also means
I
that
agree.
you be prepared to deal with it. And so while I understand and acknowledge what Steph and John, you guys are saying, I'm saying that I knew it was coming. I was expecting it to come, and I wasn't as upset about it as maybe you all were, because I know who I'm dealing with. I know what the enemy is. I know how the enemy moves. I know they don't want her there. I know it. And we talked about Lizzie Graham a minute ago. We talk about the fact, like you just said, all right, we're going to be respectful. That's their way of telling you we coming for her, and we're going to say all the shit we want to say, and we're going to get all of the people who rock with us, who agree with us, on our side, even though we can't stop this. So once Manchin came out and said, yeah, I'm going to vote for it, it's a wrap. She's going to be on the bench.
She's going to be there.
She's going to be on there. And
it will be the most attention I ever paid to SCOTUS.
And they're going to have to reckon with it. And while it's unfair, and while we are upset about it, this is not new. As black people in this country, every time there's a first anything, the first anything got to take it harder than anybody that comes behind them. She knew it. Corey knew it. Everybody knew it. So it doesn't mean that I'm not moved by it the way you are, but it does mean that I understand it in a way where I knew that she could handle it, even though she shouldn't have had to handle it. We know that she wasn't treated the way that the others before her were treated. And we know that the tone that was given to her was inappropriate. But at the end of the day, black folks in this country know we teach our children that we have to work twice as hard, sometimes 3 times as hard, to get the job that a person less qualified from us would get, simply because of the color of our skin. We know this.
And I don't even believe that's true. I think at the end of the day, when you're dealing with people who think they are inherently better than you, there is no 2 times harder. That I'll be honest with you, having gone to PWIs my whole life, including private day and boarding environments, I have never met a white person or sat in a room with white people who, when you're the only, get comfortable and chit chat, right? Never sat in a room and ever heard them. They don't teach each other the two times better. That is us. That's an internal memo. But the fact of the matter is, they don't believe you could be 2 times as good. They don't believe you could have that ability. It is not there. We're teaching each other that. I almost would look at my children and say, remember that you are inherently good. And because of the things that are going to be placed on you in the world, you're going to naturally be working harder for people who will never think that you are great. They know they came right out and said, oh, she's exceptionally qualified. I cannot vote for her. That's saying I don't care about her being 3 times better. Doesn't matter to me. That's not how we see you people.
Here's the elephant in the room. And I think like at some point, every point on the show, every week, we get down to this, right? We got to stop making excuses. We got to stop giving out passes, not just the white folk, but the black folk as well. We got to get off the step and fetch it in the Negro spiritual. We got to leave all that behind. Listen, I was moved by Cory Booker and his sentiment, right? And what I felt was some emotional integrity, right? However, I had to remember, it's coming from a place of subservient attitude, right? I cannot promote that nor be associated with it, right? No, it's not. It's really not a big deal that she's here. If we go back and check the records about 5-6 weeks ago when we first talked about this woman, what I said was she's overqualified for this job. She's too good for it. Right? I said she's too good. She is too. I read her background and her accomplishments. There's not a job within the government of the United States that woman is not overqualified for with her intelligence and her qualifications. Right? So for these people, again, it's not about the questions for me. Because the questions were the questions. Their questions, their line of questioning let me know how inadequate and uneducated and misinformed they are. It also let me know how willing they are to toe a party line that is racism, white supremacy. That is the Republican Party line. Anybody got a problem with it? Y'all got the number. I dare you to call me. Right? These people are willing to toe that line, and their Democratic counterparts are willing to allow them to fly the flag of racism and white supremacy and promote it on their own under the guise of reaching across the aisle. Why are you reaching to racism? Democrats are reaching to racism. I take it back to Ukraine. We're supporting a racist country. Why? And all of you, and all the black people who try to mingle in the groups and talk all the nonsense, y'all stupid. Cut it out. Know what's going on here. Understand what's happening. We're coming to a point economically in this country that is unsustainable. The wealth gap is unsustainable at this point, right? So they make it about all this other stuff and hide these things from you. But all the people in the room who were disrespecting this woman, and all the people in the room who were sitting there with their mics off on their hands, allowing her to be disrespected, and is supposed to be her ally politically, right? All of those people got plenty money. Understand that. And they really don't care about your broke ass, no matter how you slice it. They're dealing with things in their own space that you don't belong in, right? Get your own act together and deal with that. But go back to what I'm saying. I do not appreciate the fact that on national television, we watched white people tell this black woman to know your place, even though you're going to get this job in word. Remember your place before we really have to show you. I'm raising my voice. Don't make me go get the whip. That's all I heard. And all that conversation, that's all I heard. And Cory Booker, God bless him. Yeah, you know, my friends, they really want to whip you. But they not going to whip you, girl, because you good. And don't worry, good sweet Jesus in the chariot going to come for us. And I see our ancestors in the fields. Come on. All that's over. It's all a mockery. It's all nonsense. We got to call it out for what it is. White supremacy, racism, and nonsense. All for the fact that the wealth gap is too big to sustain. That's what's going on right now. Ukraine, this hearing, all of that comes down to is there is no real money. Money's fake. It's just numbers on a piece of paper. We have nothing behind it. And they're moving too many numbers this way and not enough that way, and it's coming to a head. And they got to figure out a way when gas is $5 and bread is $6 a loaf, how we gonna figure it out?
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. The only thing that I'll take issue with is your characterization of Cory Booker, simply because I think there's a place for his voice and the way he spoke to her, partially because nobody else in the room was going to support her. That's just real talk. Nobody else in the room was going to support her, and the fact that he stood up for her should mean something. Should account for something. And you look,
I take it back to what Steph said,
well,
though. He didn't support her. He came in after the abuse and offered her a Band-Aid.
Well, I don't agree with that.
Supporting her would have been stopping that shit
Ain't no
while
how
it was
Steppin
going
with
on.
Marcus J live from New Day and Legacy and the radio. Caller, you on the live line. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, it's Branch.
What's happening, Branch? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. It's good to hear your voice, man. What's your comment? What you want to get in on?
All right, so I'm having first of all, let me say I respect what everybody's saying up here, and I agree with it. I'm loving it, what y'all are talking about. But there's a couple of things that are just bothering me.
Let's get it.
One of them, the first thing is the protecting a black woman. We're talking about protecting a black woman, and I'm all for the idea of protecting a black woman. But in these two particular cases, that's a little different. That looks different because it's not something that can be easily done. You talk about Jada. You can't protect her from what Chris did because Chris did that off the cuff. Will can't stop that. Can't nobody stop that. She's in a position where she's vulnerable like that. And he knows that. Everybody knows that. She knows that. She's aware of that. All for defending her, though. I'm with that. Ketanji, she can't protect her in the position that she's in the way that we're talking about, discussing about protecting her. It don't work that way. If it worked that way, then her father, who was in the audience, could have done that. Her family could have done something. But Corey could have done something earlier. It works differently. But in this case, when you're on the tennis court, you by yourself, the protection comes from what you did before you get on the tennis court and what happens after the tennis court, right? And the other part that bothers me about that whole thing is that the Cory Booker piece. I love what he did at the end. I love the way he spoke to her. And what he also told her was, ain't nothing I can do about it, and ain't nothing you can do about it. This is what it is. He told her, he said, this is gonna continue to happen. So I can't protect you from this. You can tell her that. I can't protect you from this. This is the position that you have come to and that you have earned, but also these are the parts that come along with it. Ain't no protection for you. But I take pride in you and I take pride in myself. The man listen, I know we're talking about him calling Ted Cruz a friend and yada, 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 but he called her my sister in front of everybody. The new chick on the court is now my sister. So he took a side, took a stand. And it bothers me when we can tear down the only person in the room, because it sounds like tear down to me. It might not be tear down. I'm sorry, did I miss you?
Nah, we here, and you know
we're listening.
We're
Okay.
listening for the record. Let me just say this, and I'm gonna let you finish your point. I 100% agree with you. It sounds like you're agreeing with me. John and Steph disagree a little bit, and that's okay. We do that here, and disagreement breeds growth and understanding. So we with you. So go ahead and continue your point, brother.
Absolutely. And this is just me disagreeing. I'm not bashing anybody at the station at all. Like I said, I love what y'all are doing, but it just, to me, it sounds like when the only person who does step out of his seat a little bit and address her in the room, then we can come back to the only brother and be like, yeah, but you should have done it this way, should have done it that way, as opposed to like accepting, you know what I mean? All right, my man, he did what he did. He said what he said. He stood up. Honestly, the way he did it, he is talking to everybody in the room. He ain't talking to just her. He's talking to everybody in the room, and we can't address her like it's not like the work that we do. Ain't none of us we've never been a senator. You know what I mean? We've never been in that position. We don't know what kind of pressures come along with that. We don't know what kind of backlash and, you know, what have you, comes along with whatever actions you take in that situation. You know what I mean? I always liken myself being a basketball player. I know things that nobody else would know. Only basketball players know. Cory Booker knows things only they would know. Ketanji knows things only they would know. So that's my point. I just wanted to get out there, get that off my chest.
We appreciate you, brother. You welcome here anytime. And you and I had an interesting exchange a few days ago in a similar vein. And I'm the corny guy like Cory Booker, and I suppose that maybe doesn't paint me in the greatest light in some eyes, and that's okay. But the reality is, you know, that's my truth and that's his. And I agree that, you know, with him being the one in the room that spoke up for her, I put I put grandness on that. I think that's a big deal, and whether we agree or disagree is a good thing, because at the end of the day, disagreement, as I said, breeds understanding. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You got a home here anytime you want it. Appreciate you, bro.
Hey, 100%. I love what y'all do.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Steph, we getting a hit here in social media. Let's see. Our sister Mama Mika, Legacy Internet Radio alumni, is checking in. She's saying, hey. So peace to her. Steph, you got the con. What you got?
Listen, I don't I don't disagree that things are difficult, but sometimes you do the difficult thing. And I do find, as a Black woman with a lived experience, that it is often easy for people to make an excuse for why they don't step in the way of the train that's coming to hit us. Amy Barrett, I'm going to go right back to it. Lindsey Graham was whooping Ketanji's ass with the questions he was asking, specifically because he was angry about what Amy Barrett Coney was asked 3 years ago. This white man was riding in on his white horse 3 to 4 years after this woman was confirmed for the Supreme Court. Not only her, several of them were airing their grievances for the last woman who was nominated. So when I hear, we got to tiptoe, and we got to be careful, and we got to, and you know what? A little bit is better than nothing. And I get it. You can move off that level of fear and concern. You absolutely can. And I'm not saying that Cory Booker didn't say nice, shiny words. Not saying it at all. What I'm saying is, and this also, that last comment also demonstrates that something John says that often I have been like quiet about is the truth. Y'all are scared of white folk. You're scared of them.
I've been saying that on this show for the entire 10 years I've been on it.
Scared.
And I've been catching heat from people.
It is the truth.
It is the truth.
It is the
absolutely true. I typically try not to cut you off.
No, I appreciate that you're agreeing with me.
I try not to cut you off ever. But that is something I've always said, and people take me to task for saying
no, it's true.
Of course it's true.
It's true. It's true even in how we perceive things. We are fearful even when we think about doing something that they may find offensive.
You know why?
And hold on. And so when we say, he's in the room and he has to be careful, and listen to what you're saying to yourself. You literally had Lindsey Graham go 11 minutes past the gavel. 11 minutes past the gavel.
That the white man put in his pocket.
That he literally, Durbin banged the gavel, and Lindsey Graham let him know it ain't happening. And then you had Ted Cruz say, I don't care if you bang your gavel. So it's okay if you think that Cory doing a little was a lie. It's okay. And I'll tell you why it's okay. Because so little is ever done. Because you've seen this before. You've seen Black women get spoken to a certain kind of way. We've seen Black women being beat up by Asian women. Literally, a Black woman getting her tail whooped in an Asian nail salon with brooms and everything, and y'all were making jokes about it. See, protecting Black women, let me go back. When you protect a white woman as a white man, you protect her at all costs. There is no question. There is no, I'm afraid of what is going to happen to me. There is no, oh no, I'm going to get fired. He's a senator. He gets elected. He gets elected by the people. There was no real risk. They have enough of a majority for her to get elected, for her to get nominated and ultimately confirmed. There was no risk of him stepping in and saying, you know what? Y'all need to take it down, and your tone is disgusting. There was no risk to that. So when we come in and we go, well, at least he did something. We can't really tell him how to do those things and so on and so forth. Listen, I get it. It's scary. It's scary to think about speaking against the proverbial majority.
Hmm.
But as a black woman sitting there, what I'm going to tell you is that if you come in after they raped me, when you were standing outside the door listening to me scream for help, you're an accomplice to the crime. I don't need you to come back and tell me, I'm sorry that happened. You know you're better than this. I don't need that. I need what Bobby does for Susie. I need you to come 3 years later mad on my behalf, because nothing would have happened to Cory Booker if he would have opened up that mic and said, this has been ridiculous. You, Ted, have done this. You, Lindsay, have said that. You, Josh Hawley, were high-fiving insurrectionists. How fucking dare you?
Now,
So don't tell me, as a black woman who has to consistently sit and bite my tongue and bite the inside of my cheek and not cry, because God forbid y'all think that I'm weak, that's enough. That's enough. Just tell me you're afraid to do what a white man would do for a white woman. Because I'm telling you, you saw what white men will do for white women. And you know what? God bless them for it.
Now,
God bless them for it. This is why white women support white supremacy, because they recognize its power. Because Granddaddy and Peepaw and everybody from the revolution through the Civil War to now has subjugated enough black folk for a white woman to be like, why would I even vote for Hillary? White men do it big. And you want me to accept that little piece for my sister was enough? No, she was going to get nominated. Corey's not going to get kicked out of the council for saying anything bigger than what he said. Just be real.
So
you're afraid. You're afraid. They're coming for you. You don't want to experience what will happen when they come for you. And that exactly is why when they come to the village, they do what they do to the men first so that they can take advantage of the women. They know you're not going to do anything. And that's exactly why when you're sitting back and you're angry about black women being the backbone and doing our own thing and being strong, it's because we have to. Ketanji is just a simple example. The reason I'm fired up is because I am Ketanji without the protection of a white surgeon husband, without the Harvard Law degree. My sisters that are commenting, they are Ketanji as single mothers, as single queer women, as single women who have to navigate these spaces. And every single time you make an excuse for why you don't support us to the fullest. I'm talking to the fullest. I'm not saying he had to pull out a gun. I'm not saying Cory had to shoot anybody. What I am saying is directly address them. And then you're going to use 11 minutes? You want to give me flowery words? You know what will help me? Is if you give me them flowery words after you set these white men straight who literally trampled on me for days on end, because you know I can't do it for myself. So the bottom line is, don't tell me how protecting black women look until you're a black woman that's been unprotected. And that's all I got.
I don't really know how to come behind that, because
that's because you can't.
I ain't heard no lies.
She said fuck.
But listen, let me.
She said fuck, John.
It's okay. It's all right. It ain't the first time. Ain't gonna be the last.
Yeah,
but it's okay.
She said fuck.
So, but you said it before. But it's okay. But let me just break something down.
Our sister Ashley Joy, Legacy Internet Radio alumni. She said, "Amen, Steph B." Yeah,
that's because she's a power mover herself.
Yes, she is.
So let me break
Ashley.
this down real simple, right? First things first. Black people ain't necessarily scared of white people. You know what they scared of? No, they scared of God. They God fearing. And the white man is their God. So that's why they always, wait a minute, God's watching. God's got you. God. They talking about a white man every time they say that. That's why I say almost every week, get that white man his God back. That's the first step. Until we do that, we forever lost in the wilderness. Right? And just for talking about Cory, if I want to go back to what you said about being out on the street, if we going out, it's a group of us from work, right? You with us, we all work together. And the three of us are the three black people on the job. The rest of the white people is 10 other white people. And we get ready to go into the club or something. And one of the white men, not even something bad to you, but just say something, anything to you with the wrong kind of tone, with the wrong kind of energy. He might get a, yo, watch it. Or he might get a response. Like I said something earlier, I had to think back. I lied. I have hit somebody unprovocated. A white man is talking loud to a black woman. I got blackballed. In law, I used to work in law firms in New York all the time. I couldn't get a job in a law firm or a financial institute for like 8 years. I got blackballed because I punched a lawyer in the mouth. Because he blew up on a... He's like 27, she's like 41. Clock. On reflex. They walked me out of there. That's the first time I realized security guards at law firms got guns. They're all retired cops. Right? Lesson of the 80s. The Bentley's crew. What's up, y'all? So my point is, no, but I'm saying Bentley's is who you hang out with after, Silver Shadow, Bentley's. Y'all know who y'all are. That's all go to work. All these black people on the train with their little ties and stuff on, the girls with the sneakers and their shoes in the Gucci bag they have over their show. There was a time in the 80s in New York. People who were there know what I'm talking about. But anyway, my point is, we would not allow it, right? So here's what would have happened in that night going out. Either somebody would have got slapped, or they would have got willed, or Chris rocked, whatever. They'd have got Chris rocked.
What's our term for it?
We got to come up
I'd
with
have
a
slapped the J out his
Well,
mouth.
well, let's discuss it, John.
You got rocked.
I say
you got
slap the Jade out your mouth.
No, I like you got
You
rocked.
got rocked.
I like you got rocked.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
don't
right,
get
we'll go with
you
that.
because you could say it like, yo, don't get rocked.
I
Don't
like,
get C-rocked.
Don't get
C rocked.
Yeah.
I do like slap the Jada out your mouth, but I like rock. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got.
don't get C-rocked in here.
We're gonna go with C rock. You're gonna get C rock.
So either we going out, that happens. You either gonna get C-rocked, or guess what's gonna happen? I'm a grab.
As soon as he had a chance, he just went right to
I'm
it.
gonna grab you by the hand. And I'm gonna say, "Come on, we going home."
I'm gonna C rock you.
Listen. Everything ain't for. Listen, discretion.
Yeah, right. I'm
Listen to me, people. Don't get it twisted. Discretion is the better part of valor. You can't every time C-rock somebody, right? But what you
The
can
number one
do,
C-rocker.
what you can do is take your lady, whatever black lady you're around. She ain't got to be your woman. She could just be your friend or whatever, or just a stranger. You could take her by the hand and say, "Sis, let's get out. This ain't where we need to be," and walk her out the room. Right? You can do that, and that's protection. But do not ask of me or have any expectation of me to compliment you in any form of fashion while you sit idly and allow a black woman to be spoken to in the manner that was allowed. I would have, like I said, he said, "Oh, this is gonna happen. We knew it was gonna happen." So you know what I would have did? I would have knew my ass right out the room. I'd have said, "Excuse me, people, I got to go because your behavior is inappropriate, and I can't be affiliated and associated with the kind of people that you are. Good day."
I can dig it. We'll leave it right there. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Man, this has been a great show.
I needed you guys.
Like Tony the Tiger, great show.
I don't even know if he does that anymore.
I don't know,
but I like that you brought
if the
it's like a
kid in
throwback.
me. Yeah, I love John. I love Steph. I love y'all so much. And the listeners and the
Listeners have
viewers,
been dope
man, y'all
tonight.
came through. We
They're
got
the
so
real
many
MVP.
They gave us so many comments. Did you hear me read any? I
You
read like one.
couldn't.
I read like 1 or 2 comments, but the rest I put on the screen. You guys support each other, and you guys are building and bonding with each other. And there were so many people that called and give it a moment of controversy to bring out the listeners and viewers. And you folks will always listen and view, but just the way you participated tonight I just want to make sure that you get the thank yous from us that you all deserve. Like, share, those of you who are watching are regulars, those of us who are not regulars, who are just stumbling upon us and go, oh shit, they are kind of fucking dope. Like y'all too. Everybody like and share us, like share this. So everybody could benefit, because next week when we come back in here, it's gonna be something crazy that happens between now and next week, and we're gonna be doing this again every single Monday night at 7 p.m. since December of 2011. Here we are. Since December of 2011, 10 years plus ago, right here on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Different crews in the past, but this right here is the signature crew, and we appreciate you. And we do this because of y'all. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being a part of what we did here tonight. We can't do this without y'all. We won't do this without y'all. We might be here in New Den in a cipher because I like John and I like Steph, and I'm gonna hang out with them, whether y'all participate anyway, but we like that y'all are here, and we like that y'all participate, and clearly y'all like us. So help us grow and like and share, especially y'all regulars. Y'all know what it is. Like, I shouldn't have to keep telling y'all every single week, share this shit, man. Share this shit, man. Like, share this shit, man. Every week it's the same shit. Share this shit, man. And I don't mean to say that and just like real talk. Share this shit, man. Because I see y'all social media and y'all not sharing this shit, man. So do that, so that we can continue to grow and grow with y'all, so that we can continue bringing y'all socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. That's our tagline since December of 2011, and we're going to keep with it. I appreciate y'all. So at this time of the show, we are going to transition towards the end, where we do our salutations, our ending salutations, which include our moment in Black history, as well as our missing children. We'll do that. We'll get to our rants, our closings, and then we'll shut it down. Thank you to everybody that's still with us. All right. So this week in Black history, let's see, 1974. What a wonderful year. Wonderful people were born that year. Obviously, in March of 1974, your boy was still in utero, but I was on my way, y'all. I was on my way. 1974, Delbert Tibbs, a Black hitchhiker from Chicago, is indicted for capital murder of a white couple in Florida. He is wrongfully convicted by an all-white jury and spends 2 years on death row. 1956, churches and synagogues nationwide keep their doors open all day in observance of National Deliverance Day, a prayer to support the Montgomery bus boycott. 1944, Reverend Isaac Simmons, a Black man, is buried 3 days after he is murdered by 6 white men who wanted to steal his family's land in Mississippi. His family is threatened and flees the country. Lastly, 1870, Thomas Mundy Peterson becomes the first Black man in America to vote under the 15th Amendment, which gave Black men the right to vote in all federal, state, and local elections. Marcus J., why do you always read all of these Black history moments that have the appearance of white supremacy and terrible, terrible things that happened in the past? Because these things continue to happen. Because to know where you're going, you got to know where you've been. To know that people still alive today, born of Black people and Black heritage in our country, are still alive to tell you about how they can return from war in their military uniform, be turned away from a meal because of their color of their skin. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's still real. The fact that you couldn't buy a house, you had to send your white friends in to the buying a house for you as a front so that you can have some place to live. That's Cory Booker's story. His parents had to have their white friends go and show up to buy the house for them so they could have some place to live. Here, this man grew up within 20, 30 miles of where I grew up in New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? And this is real. Like, these people are still alive, and this is still a part of the existence. There are plenty of people that are Black and plenty of people who are of the white supremacist vein who have memories that extend back to when this was actually normal practice. Lee Atwater's statement was only in the early 1980s and the late 1970s. Like this stuff is like still here. I was born in 1974, and Luttrell says 1973 was better. Hey, because I love you, I'll let you get that. But the truth of the matter is, this history is living history. White supremacy is part of the DNA of this country. And John and Steph and Branch and me and others, as we were talking tonight, we were talking about what's going on in the United States Capitol, where they are interviewing a Black woman to be a part of the Supreme Court of the United States. And we see how they treated her. And they told you they were going to do it. We can agree or disagree about Cory Booker's performance and the things that he said and the things that he should have said. But what we will not disagree on is how she was treated, the things that were said to her, and the tone of which they were said to her. I was prepared for it. And I wasn't surprised by it. I wasn't moved by it because I knew at the end of the day, ultimately, this is how they treat us. This is how they move. I'm not talking about all white people. Some Black people want to talk about all white people. Fair enough. That ain't me. I'm talking about the system of white supremacy that is present in this country, that has been present since 1492. It's always been here. It's part of the DNA. And we are culturally conditioned to believe that white is right. And the manifestation of that is the fact that we are marginalized and invalued here in this country. I misquoted the Black Eagle, Joe Madison. Charge it to my heart. It was charged to my head and not my heart. But we understand what it is that I was trying to say. And if you don't, then you don't listen to the show every week. Come back next week and you're going to hear more of the same. Branch, I see you, brother. Peace to you. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Net Radio. That was not my rant. That was me on the soapbox. It's time for me to get to our missing children. And then John and Steph will get to their rants. As we do every single week, we're looking for our missing Black babies because ain't nobody else looking for them. Camya Herbin. She's been missing since March 26, 2022, from right here in the Cap City, more specifically, Chesterfield County. She's a 15-year-old Black female. She's 5'7", 160. She was last seen wearing a pink Rugrat hoodie, blue jeans with holes, and blue and white Jordan shoes. She's got long black braids and a nose piercing. If you've seen Camya Herbin, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them at 804, the Chesterfield County Police Department, I should say, at 804-748-1251. We're also looking for Janai Wing. Janai Wing has been missing from Henrico County, also part of us here in the Cap City, March 24th. She's a 15-year-old Black female who stands 5'4", 160, last seen wearing black sweatpants, bleached black hoodie, and silver glittery Crocs. She wears a nose ring in her right nostril. If you've seen Janai Wing, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. So if you see Janai Wing, so if you've seen Camya Herbin, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them by phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Every once in a while, I always remind our listeners, because we got new ones, and tonight, obviously, we've got a big crowd who have been with us tonight. A lot of new folks who are rocking with us. Why are you always doing the missing kid? Because in 1979, when I was 5 years old, they were stealing little black kids off of the street of Atlanta, and they was killing them. And my mama lost her mind when she saw 5-year-old Marcus J. roll down the block on his big wheel, and he moved out of sight, and she couldn't find him, and she lost her mind. And she came screaming down the street, and she grabbed me off my big wheel and took me in the house 500 miles away in Atlanta. But it was that real to her, where not long after that, across the river in Manhattan, we lost Etain Pates, who walked to school for the very first time at the end of the school year in May as a kindergartner. He was stolen off of the streets. We never even found out what happened to him until 30 years later. Obviously, we lost him. He lost his life. And also, Adam Walsh in Florida, who was stolen while playing a video game in a mall. And many of our parents in the early 80s know exactly what that feels like. Turn your head for a quick second and your kid disappears. But then you look over and he's playing Miss Pac-Man. Well, the Walsh family didn't have that luxury. And Otis Toole stole their baby and decapitated him, which is the reason why John Walsh went on a mission to always look for missing and or exploited children, being a part of the founding of the website and the organization, missingkids.org, and fronting and leading America's Most Wanted. And so for me, those three cases have always been a part of the DNA of Marcus J. And every single time I touch a microphone, from the first time in September of 2011, when I was a third wheel on the green room, until I took over the leadership of the show and rebranded it, Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J. 3 months later in December of 2011, 10 years ago, as we celebrate that. Every time I touch a mic, I'm going to profile a missing and or exploited child. It's important. We will not forget these children, and we will find our missing. Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J. live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. John, you have the control. You got the mic. It's time for you to close us out with your rant and your closing. As I give you your flowers, as I do every single week, I'm going to do it now before you speak. Thank you. Thank you for being a man. Thank you for being a leader. Thank you for being a boss dude who don't take no shit from nobody, regardless of what they say to you. You stand convicted, and I honor you for that. I appreciate you for that. And I look up to you for that. Not because you 6'4", but because I look up to you for that. Real talk, man. I love you, man. And thank you for being my brother.
Love you too, bro. You know. I was watching a program online. Right, folks? I was watching a program online, and it discussed some history facts. And one of the facts was there's a television show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Right? Some of you will remember the what they call it, the syndication, and very few of you will remember it being broadcasted. Well, in the 50s, when the show was at its peak, there was a man on the show, and I forgot his name, but part of him being on the show was the fact that he was a witness to the murder of Abraham Lincoln. Now, I want y'all to think about that, right? My mother was in high school in the 50s. My father was a grown man with a business in New York. I have a sister who passed away. She was a little girl when this show broadcasted. And there was a man on the show who witnessed the murder of Abraham Lincoln. Right? So I need you to understand that when I say that, because it's important that you do not confuse time. Right? People are alive today who saw that show when it was broadcasted and were alive then and saw that man who saw Abraham Lincoln get killed. There are people who are alive today who had conversations with people who were enslaved. Right? There's a movie coming out with what's homegirl name? The young girl. She's not that young anymore. Keke Palmer. Right? Yeah, but listen. We got a code. Any of y'all watched Atlanta? We don't even need to talk, and we can have whole conversations. That's the beauty of this black thing, right? Just so y'all understand. She knew what I was talking about. Keke Palmer talking. They had some people someplace, and it was based on true events. Had some people someplace in the 1970s who were unaware that slavery was over. They were still enslaved in the 70s. And this woman ran away and ran up on a highway and saw trucks and stuff for the first time. She thought slavery was still a thing. She was born into slavery in the 50s. Right? Martin and Malcolm had been assassinated. John and Bobby had been assassinated. And they still had people enslaved in Georgia. Right? So I need you to think about these things to understand just how wicked this system is. Right? Now, Marcus will hear me say it often about white people. I'm not talking about white persons. I'm not talking about Dave Anderson or Robert Braun or whoever you are, Kathy Davison. I'm not talking about y'all. Y'all are individuals. But white people as an institution is wicked. It's evil, right? If you consider yourself a white person, understand you are putting on the robe of evil. That's the way it's been scripted when the designation was first invented in 1681 or something like that. It was designed to be evil in order to oppress people, to cause confusion and chaos, to sow discord among poor people, because there are more poor people in the country than there are non-poor people. So when the poor people come together and say, hey, this isn't right that we get taxed at a higher rate when we make less money than you do, who make more money, and then the people who make more money say, well, no. Yeah, I do get paid at a lower rate because my 10% is 100 times more than your 30%. And you're supposed to fall for the okie doke, the Jedi mind trick. It doesn't matter. The percentage of money that I'm left with to maintain my lifestyle is lesser than the percentage of money that you're left with to maintain your lifestyle. And at the end of the day, none of the tax dollars collected go to running the country. It goes to paying for the government, right? That is all the unnecessary government. So to keep all of this, out of the main picture, they've created the evil whiteness. The evil whiteness to contrast the God that they gave you, so that you could pray to this white God, so that you could fear this white God, so that you could serve the master. Serve your master. God, I read the Bible a few times. It said, fear not, nothing. Including God. God loves you. What you scared of? He didn't say he was your master. He said he gave you freedom of choice. Do your own thing. Here goes some guidelines. I think you should follow them. But do your own thing. But y'all sit around, make up love songs to him, sing to him like he your date, right? And no matter how much you slice it, no matter how many of the preachers come on Sunday and talk all the fancy talk and whatever they want to say about it, it all comes back down to y'all praising this white man. And my co-host said earlier that y'all scared of him. Y'all scared of God because they told you need to be scared of God. What God gonna do to you? What difference would it make? What could you do about it? So what you scared of? Right? This is about money. Ukraine is about money. This judge is about money. Will Smith and Chris Rock is about money. Kanye and his idiot self with the woman and the other dude, the funny looking monkey face guy. Money. All of this is distractions so you don't realize that you're being taken advantage of. So you don't understand. So a fully automated gas station online. Fully automated. You go inside, there's a bathroom. You need the receipt from the pump to get into the bathroom. They got vending machines, coffee machine, a couple of things. That's it. Know why you got fully automated gas stations? Because Target is going to pay their lowest employee $25 an hour. That's about $47,000 a year to work at Target. Right? To work at Target. So therefore, here's the deal, right? They do not need the lower labor jobs. And you people sitting up worried about them, fighting over them. Right? As opposed to figuring out how to make yourself more valuable. We spent 2 hours talking about a couple of millionaires and they tomfoolery and nonsense. Right? I understand, because it's important to us as Black people to understand certain things culturally, to understand certain positions, to know about it. But at the end of the day, the behavior that we demonstrate has been welded into our DNA through oppression and suppression, white supremacy, racism. Certain behaviors have become part of our DNA. It's been scientifically proven. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. This is the truth. There's certain things we do, certain behaviors now that are inscripted on us. Right? And we have to understand that. We have to have an appreciation for it, but we cannot lose sight of what the big picture is, what's really going on here. Right? Real simple. I don't care how much money you make. If you work for your money, you're poor. Rich people's money work for them. I don't care how little they get. If you don't have money making you money, you are poor. Wealthy people have other people's money working for them. If you understand that, or when you can understand that, you can maybe get a handle on your situation and do something better. Right? And please, if your bills are late, waste no time worrying about why Will smack Chris, because none of their bills are late. That's my rant.
Ain't no how stepping. Marcus J live from New Den. Legacy in that radio, Steph. You ready for your flowers? I just appreciate you because you speak so firmly, so strongly, so eloquently, so powerfully, so articulately, so firmly, with grace, with beauty, with wisdom, with strength, in a way that often we aren't used to. And that's high praise, because we need you. We need your voice. And I just love to listen to you talk, because you're smart as hell. And when you said what you were saying, I watched them give you flowers. You saw it. It's coming in, because the truth is you are valued, you are necessary, and you are loved. You should know it. From me, from John, and from them, the listeners of this show. So thank you for being my sister. Thank you for being our co-host. And thank you for just being you. You got the con.
Thanks for the bow.
Yeah, the bow be
Love
cute as
y'all.
hell.
Y'all are so funny.
Yeah, but the bow be cute, man. Like that whole trademark thing. Like you
Gangsta Minnie.
you
Yes.
on it, man.
Daisy, actually.
So
More
yeah,
Daisy Duck than Minnie Mouse. Daisy Duck's a bitch. I like her.
I rocks with you, man. I really rocks with you. So thank you.
I appreciate that. She does.
Yeah.
I appreciate. I really do. I appreciate the forum and what you've done to keep it going all these years. I think it's a necessary thing. We might talk about something that at the baseline seems small. We all know it's entertainment, but you brothers always come and it becomes edutainment. And always within the most minute topics, you find these elements that are educational and that open minds up, and that engage with smart people. We have smart listeners who speak their piece. And I appreciate that every week you brothers bring it. Marcus, I appreciate the effort. I don't think people know. I appreciate the effort you put into us meeting on Monday nights and doing this. It's significant. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you.
At 6 a.m. when you're sending your messages because you ready to go.
I'll be ready, man.
Ready.
Peace, morning, family.
Yes. Yes. Whether you awake or not. And I love it. I love it because I know that somebody is looking forward to spending time with me on a Monday. And those things matter. And the fact that our brother John always comes into the mix with you say firm. About me, I love that John is so firm. I love that John has opinions that he's not going to waver from. It is a level of strength that a lot of people, 90% of the people you meet, are going to be easily swayed by your opinion. You will be able to change their mind. I can change a lot of people's mind with very little debate. And I know this brother is not one of them. That you're going to have to engage the core of your cerebellum to get to this brother. So I appreciate you both. Thank you for the flowers, but thank you very much for everything you do every week, before and after the show, and certainly during. So thank you both. So, incendiary change. I had a tough weekend. Really, really tough weekend. And of everything that may have come up or might have been discussed or said, when someone is saying things to you that are coming from a place of anger, and it is their deepest thought, something they may not have delivered to you before, and you have to sit with it and process it. And so I did. And what I realized prior to this weekend was my life needed incendiary change. And so the definition of incendiary is one that I love because it makes it very plain. It's tending to stir up conflict. Very exciting. Designed to cause fires. A person who starts fires. I needed a fire in my own life in order to change my own behavior and experiences based on my decisions. And so this week is about not just holding you accountable. And last week, my rant was centered around that, the personal accountability. It is about knowing what you deserve, regardless of what that is going to do to someone else. I was someone thought they were throwing something in my face by telling me that they knew that my ex-husband sent me flowers on Valentine's Day. Shout out Ruben Freeman. That dude always looks out for me. He was listening tonight. It's his first night, so it's a new listener. Shout out to that brother that I had 2 beautiful children with. And spent 18 to 37 with. Shout out, brother. Because I'm going to tell you something. While I have you two, I know that brother would get in a car and drive from Georgia to come and protect me. I don't often speak on personal things. I am fortunate. I have Black men in my life who love me exactly the way I am. Exactly the way I am and refuse to change from. There are elements of me that I refuse to change, because I recognize that those things are what make me who I am. And in the face of all judgment, I refuse to change it because it's how I need to be. So I was reminded that, my ex-husband gave me flowers on Valentine's Day, but I was reminded of that by someone who gave me nothing. Yeah. Now, let me say that again. My wonderful ex-husband gave me flowers on Valentine's Day. I didn't tell where they came from because I was sparing the feelings of the person who should have given me flowers. Speaking of giving flowers, Marcus Day, as you do every week. And I had a moment of disappointment in myself because that little white lie was painful to that person. But when I sat alone and thought about it, I realized I had someone in my life that would rather me have nothing if they didn't give it to me. That would rather me be without if they weren't providing, no matter what their decision reflected. And it easily took me to a space of where I forgave myself for everything. I forgave myself for the incendiary change. I blew up things this weekend. I blew it up because I knew nothing would change if I didn't turn it into ashes or rubble. I came in and I created a war in my own space because it was a necessity. And I find that we often don't do that. We are often, as a people, and I'm speaking our people, we are often forced to be toxically grateful for things, the smallest things. It's why I felt some kind of way about the Cory Booker situation. Not because I don't appreciate that he stood up, but because I want us to start to become aware of the fact that we deserve more than the small things. And that when we get the small things, or when someone says, well, it's the thought that counts, tell them to think bigger. Think bigger if you're going to be in my space. Do bigger if you're going to be in my space. Think bigger. Feel pressure. Feel pressure to perform. Because if not, I have no problem blowing it all up. And I realized that about myself this weekend. That being long suffering and tolerant is not a move. It's not always the thing you should be doing. And we are trained into that. It's docile. It's docile. And all of you people out there, hey king, hey queen, talking about where we come from and the continent from which we all derive, are being docile while calling each other king and queen. Kings and queens are not docile. They make decisions. If Queen Elizabeth wants to decide that Prince Charles is not going to be the next king and she's skipping over him and going to William, she can do that because she's the queen. If you are the queen or king of your own life, you're willing to burn shit down when it does not reflect what you need. I momentarily caught myself in a space of feeling bad that someone was mad that I didn't accept the bare minimum. And someone else came in and said, let me truly, literally give you your flowers. I felt bad about it. I had to wonder, well, why did I allow that? There is no allowance. There is no allowance for the small things. Put pressure on people. Hold them accountable. But more importantly, prioritize you. We need to get to a space as people of color in which we are insanely self-centered. And the self is the community. It is you as an individual. It is the people you love. We are insanely self-centered. So self-centered that when people do the wrong thing, we call them on it in the moment. So we don't have to tell the little white lie. So insanely self-centered that the minute someone gives you less than what you deserve, you call them on it. You weigh it out. You ever watch kids count out Skittles? I want the people in my life that every now and then, if there's 24, I'm going to get 13. If someone is coming back to take something off my plate because I got one more than they did, we need to blow it all up because I deserve one more sometimes. And instead, I've been accepting two less. So get to a space in your life where you're okay lighting the match. That's what I want for us. Light the match. Listen, you got to be real with yourself. Sometimes I'll sit in a space and I'll realize that my Virgo self is too tolerant. It takes me too long to get angry. And when I do, it's a problem for all around. And what I should be doing is saying, at my big old age, that I don't have time to be angry. That I don't have time to wait to build the whole house on a shaky foundation and wait for it to fall. that it must be built from scratch the right way. And if it's not, if the foundation looks shaky at all, I want it all erased. I want you to start again. These are the things we have to start doing when it comes to the level of accountability, but it always comes back home. And I find that we are so difficult when it comes to accountability because we don't want to deal with ourselves first. So, in my space of a weekend, what I dealt with was the understanding that I make excuses for people. I'm a coach. I don't make any excuses for my clients, but I will make excuses for people who say they belong there with me because I want to ride with you. I want to ride or die. I want to make sure I'm showing you that I care. Do not allow the man that didn't give you flowers make you feel bad about the roses on the table. And that's my rant.
Do not allow the man that didn't give you flowers make you feel bad about the roses on the table. Can't do it. Hey, look, I almost feel silly following that. Yeah, you know, I have Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. It's my turn to close us out. And um, I'm in the space now. Those folks who know me, who have known me, John the last few years and Steph around about the same time. You guys have come to me at a stage in my life of transition as I move from one stage into another, as I firmly plant myself into middle age. I feel different. I see different. The world is different. How I feel is different. How I look is different. Everything is different. And I'm excited about that. I'm not fearful of it. I look back in my life. I look at my life in stages. There were ages where I can remember very, very clearly the change. 9 years old was one, 16, was another, 24, 25 was one, 27, 28 was one, 35 was one, 42 was one, and 44 started the one that I'm in now. And this one is really beginning to reveal itself. And I feel that I've always been this guy, but I'm becoming a lot more comfortable and confident in being him. Here's what I mean. I've always been one who the negative connotation of it would be people pleasing. And I am in a space of life where I'm self-analyzing and I'm understanding who I am and what I am and where that comes from, what stops along the way, and those ages that I just mentioned have led me to this point now, most of which I won't share. But where I am now in the journey is a space that I would not trade because I earned this. I earned this stage. I earned this level of peace that I am working very diligently to fortify and to continue. Longtime listeners of this show remember I used to be pretty fiery and feisty. And every once in a while, depending on the topic, you still see a little bit of that. But as I've gotten older and more mature, and as I settle into middle age, it has become more important to me to share the goodwill and good feelings that I am learning to embrace. And I've been fortunate, but I also bust my ass to get here. And we got this thing where we're not supposed to say nice things about ourselves. When you're a child, they call you conceited or arrogant, or when you get older, that's the word. Conceited is the kid word, arrogant is the word they use to get older. Fine, you want to call me that, so be it. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with celebrating the people around you and loving on them openly. One of the things that I used to say halfway through my radio run, I began to use this phrase in the rhetoric of there is nothing more important than a black man saying to another black man, I love you, and stopping right there. You know, we like to say, I love you, man. I love you, bruh. I love you, no homo. You know, all of these qualifications. It's important because we all need and desire and want to be loved, to be appreciated, and to have those feelings reciprocated. And so if you are inside of my purview, translation, if I fucks with you, you gonna know it. I'm gonna tell you to the detriment of potentially making it weird. Why? Because I know what it feels like when don't nobody fuck with you. I know what it feels like when they act like they do or they say they do, but then their actions don't match it. Remember, I've been doing this 10 years. And a lot of the people who say they rocks with me ain't never shown it. Not gonna call nobody out by name, but it's just what it is. And so I have decided to embrace it without regard to what anybody else does or says. Why? Because that's me, my cross to bear. It's important to me. If I tell you I love you, I mean it. And it is wholly disrespectful for you to look me back in the eye and reject it. Just don't say nothing. Just don't say nothing. Because it's important to me. It's a part of the DNA of who I am. I want everybody to be good. I guess I'm about harmony. John calls me a moderate. I've eased into this space, but it's kind of always who I've been. It's important because everybody deserves to feel like they loved by somebody. Whether you deserve it or not, everybody deserves to feel like they loved by somebody. And if I fucks with you, I promise you, you gonna know it. I might just make it weird. And I don't care if you don't like it. I really don't. But to the contrary, if I don't fuck with you, you gonna know that too. You ain't even gonna have to ask me. Just stay the hell away from me. Because there's a funny thing as I move into this yoga doing hippie stage. I will still flip this table. I'm a Gemini. That's a Mer. Marcus's unrelated ring got nothing to do with what we're here to talk about tonight. That's the end of the show. I want to remind everybody independence is the key to building your legacy. I want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares and the abundance of water. The fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you would be hearing sing in the background, but I know that I spoke more than 6 minutes and 24 seconds when the song goes off. So let us get the hell on up out of here and let us move on. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. What up, guys? Love you. Peace to you too, Cara. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from New Den of Legacy and that radio. This is one of my favorite times of the week, and I'm sharing it with my two favorite people. I can't do it without them, and I can't do it without y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. Peace, love, and yeah, I ain't gonna say that. That's corny. That ain't my line. Yeah, I ain't gonna do it. But I tease you. Love y'all, y'all. Be easy. I'll let y'all next week. Peace. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, hundreds talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the B, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this market stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this market stage start to talk. Steppin is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about? Call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this market stage start to talk.